On YouTube, I'm going to go to the chat program so I don't betray you guys yet again, you YouTubers out there. And I'm going to say, auto find and activate the YouTube. No new streams to find. Okay, so we got to wait a second. We got to let it propagate. All of my e-waste needs to propagate onto the internet in order to become detectable. Still didn't find it. I said start all, so let me go check the YouTube feed. Make sure everything's good there. That's good. Okay, that's running. Auto find and activate. You jerk. Doubt. Oh yeah, I should probably upgrade this. I know, YouTube just said no. Make it work. That's the one. What the? There it goes. Jeez. I guess new version available is probably, it's probably starting to get a little moldy. All right, hi, welcome. We haven't started yet, but those who are curious as to what we're working on today, we are going to be trying to hack into this light by hacking into the steering wheel over there. The steering wheel over there speaks LIN bus, but I'm pretty sure this is old enough that it only speaks LIN bus 1.0. This one has LIN bus 2.0, which has some distinct differences in it, but more so than just even hacking it with LIN bus, I need a setup that's not as extra as this. So that's a frozen source. Father, you're not breathing. Yeah, I know it's frozen source. Anyway, I need this to be a little bit more reliable. We need to probably put it on a different board. And then we will be able to like hook up to it and hook other things up to it in order to get all of our LIN bus stuff done. So there's gonna be a little bit of building and then a little bit of programming, which will involve that right there. And we can try to get the failed sign off of my face because last time we completely failed. So I would very much like for this thing to respond to us. By all means, according to the LIN 2.0, whatever. And by the way, I have confirmed this is LIN 2.0, and I'll show you my evidence. I have receipts, chat. I have receipts. This is LIN 2.0. There's no other information on it. It's a possibility that we could dig deep into the BMW like engineering files and maybe find some info. And if you guys feel like doing that, I would love that, because I'm not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to go boots to the ground. We're actually going to sit here and make protocol messages that we're going to send to this, and it will reply to us. One of the other things that I want to test is get on the other side of this plug here and make sure that this thing is functioning, that we're not trying to speak to a dead horse. We might be, we might be, because I bought this thing off of eBay, but it doesn't look like there is any sign of damage. So I would be shocked if this thing were damaged beyond the point of digitally speaking to us. But we need to figure out what to say to it so that it doesn't get mad at us, and then it'll respond. The one thing that annoys me about all of this is, and that I'll maybe have to guess down the line, is there's got to be a signal. Boots to the ground in electronics is dangerous. No, that's where we live. That's where we like to be. We like to be on the lower level stuff. I don't like to be up in my grandiose gilded mansion writing code and going, oh, ho, 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 and then hitting a button. I like to be down here actually hooking up to the device and figuring out what's going on. This is all well in line with what I'm skilled at, which is hacking stuff. So this should be pretty fun. We're going to take it slow. We got to take it slow. That's the whole point. Baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. We're walking a tight line. And this was not baby steps. This was throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. So this has got to go. It's got to go. We got to get out of here. We got golf to play. We got to go. We got to go. We got to go. Yeah, this is no bueno. We'll put this on a larger breadboard. I like this mix. I kind of want to cut my intro short today and turn off the music that YouTube can't hear. But I also really like this mix. I kind of really like the mix. The mix is 8-ball, low pressure systems from February of 2026. It's this right here. It's on SoundCloud. It's pretty chill. I like it a lot, actually. I like it when, well, 8-ball is one of the really good DJs at, what are they called again? Space Cowboys. Space Cowboys. 8-ball's really good, but I like the chill mixes, and so this is 8-ball doing chill mix, so I really like it. Really good. Good stuff. Good stuff. Love those guys. Been stealing their music for years. There are other artists whose music I can steal, and I probably should. I've never asked them if I could. I've never contacted them. I don't know. They could say no, and that would scare me. Just like asking for an extra cup of sauce at a restaurant is very frightening. Bro said yoink. It's the one friend of the show, Leb TV Lives, put it to terms with me saying, you're stealing this music, and typically you'd pay to play it on a broadcast. And I'm like, you're right. You're right, and I'm in the wrong, but I'm still doing it. And on Twitch you can, because the deal is you can pay them in order to use music that they have cultivated. They've sort of got this pay service. Or you can not have it on the VODs and not have it on the YouTube. Because YouTube will put the axe to it immediately, because YouTube is always recording. YouTube is basically my extended recording device for streams. So if it's over a month since I've worked on something, it's on YouTube. That ball and chain, I've been thinking about severing and being a little bit more gonadish about the way that I'm doing this and not recording my previous streams. I figure that somewhere along the line, they might be useful to somebody who's trying to look at something. I had a comment on about the bug assault. Somebody found my stream again because I was taking apart a bug assault, and I think they gained something good from that. Social anxiety go burr. It sure does. I like to ask for extra sauce at the pickup window, less chance they charge me for it. Oh God, the Grubhub, like $1 for sauce. No thanks. Bug Assault is it's modeled after an SPAS, a SPAS 12 shotgun. The one with the fold up, the Gordon Freeman shotgun, the Counter-Strike, etc. Very, very famous gun. It doesn't have the stock, the fold-out stock, and I bought an Airsoft SPAS, and it had the folding stock, but the design was so different that I couldn't transfer it over. But the Bug Assault is supposed to go after winged bugs by blasting a bit of salt at them. And that, if you're outside and you blast the bug with salt, it just dissolves, right? If you're inside and you blast the bug with salt, you're gonna have to sweep the floor. Unless you're disgusting. So I bought one of those because they're funny, and then I attached a bunch of Picatinny rails to it. Where did it go? I thought I had it. Yeah, I had it in a place where I can get to it just in case I get a fly in the shop. Oh God, it's covered in dust. So I decided to bubba up my Bug Assault and get the dust off of it. Jesus Christ, it's so dusty. I bubbled it up. I had a flashlight on it, but I don't know where that went. Oh God, it's so covered in dust. I haven't gotten a bug in here in a little while. So the last time that I used it, I had a spider in here, and I went, "Come at me, spider!" And I shot it at the spider, and the spider looked at me. Matter. It didn't do a goddamn thing to the spider. That's when I realized that the reason that we're chucking salt, and I'm gonna shoot this so it doesn't throw salt everywhere. Oh, safety is always on. There it goes. It's just a big spring-operated like air poofer, and in the poof of air, it'll load in just a little bit of salt. So I wanted to bubba it up with a bunch of like cheap Amazon gun accessories, which is where the rail pieces came in, because it does not have Picatinny rails. It has these little like slots in it, and so I use those slots to kind of sandwich on some rails. For some reason, the stream where I'm discovering how this thing works and I'm looking at it, some viewer found it. Where is that? That's not it. Oh, here it is. Way too much talking. 4.5 hours is way too long for a disassembly video of a toy. So this is why I put live stream in the title of YouTube, because I'll get comments like this. But yeah, one of my other viewers found it recently. That was kind of cool. So I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression. What's my glucose level doing? That's unacceptable. Hold on, we got to give insulin for that. I got to give insulin for that. Oh, that was the wrong camera. Beat him up. I must win the war of commentary against this poor, confused chatter. I didn't think there was that much carb in what I ate, but my glucose level is showing that it's going way up. I guess there it is. That's my glucose level in real time. So I'm going to give insulin. I'll follow its recommendations because it's already given me a bunch of maintenance insulin leading up to this. You streamed for 4.5 hours? That's way too long. I need to do some longer streams. Streams used to be longer around here, but then I got like the cutest corgi in the whole entire world, which I'll pull up on the phone. Streams used to be longer, but then I got this thing, and taking this thing out to go touch grass is kind of important. So streams have not been as long, and that's been to a detriment of my viewer numbers, which is all anyone who streams obsesses over, is viewer numbers. She doesn't like the wintry mix. I love this. This music is awesome. Where's like a normal picture of my dog? Do I have like a normal, just like a normal picture of the dog? Do I have a normal picture of the dog? She's not a very normal dog, so I guess I don't have a normal picture of the normal. Okay, I told you she goes to the under desk. She does go to the under desk bed. She does go there. She just doesn't do it when I'm streaming because I'm yelling at the furniture. None of these are normal pictures. I have kind of a problem here. I have a problem. I don't have a single normal picture of my dog. That's normal enough. There you go. So that's Willow. I got her 3 years ago. And so in the interim 3 years, by the way, there's that insulin that I just injected. This is, by the way, this is a web page. This is cgmdatabot.herokuapp.com. cgmdatabot, I would have named like bothers glucose levels.herokuapp, but I didn't know what I was naming at the time because I was following tutorials. She is a snow dog, by the way. She absolutely adores snow. What's up, Madam You? How you doing? We actually do have YouTubers that watch my show every now and then. My schedule hasn't been great. Real life has been kind of getting in the way. There's some medical stuff with my parents that I got to deal with. It's just a thing. It's just bothers life. Life hits you at the age of whatever the hell I am. So I've been a little bit deflected from being able to stream. I was talking about getting this thing 3 years ago has been wonderful for my health. I'm losing weight. I'm walking. I'm actually getting outside. But it has been detrimental to having longer streams on Twitch and YouTube. At some point, I'll hopefully be able to do longer streams. I'm trying to take little baby steps on these projects so that we can have, a good start, middle, and finish to all of these streams. It's something that I like to kind of harp on with my stream, is having a plot line. And I think that's where Uwo's lab really, really excels, because his projects are just inane weirdo things, right? It's just like, let's make a jet-powered dog. Maybe I'm not as creative. It's sort of like, let's brew toilet wine kind of thing. Toilet wine actually takes a lot longer. Toilet ramen takes a lot less time. And that's sort of where that stream often finds itself. That is, much better for Twitch. Slapping something together and it explodes, and then you go, well, and then that's the stream, because it's 5 hours of project time, right? We work on like more cerebral projects. We're hacking into a light switch, which is the dichotomy is funny because it's just a freaking switch, but apparently this thing speaks a really advanced automotive protocol in order to save a wire, like one wire to a controller. So piss generator, yeah. Can I water cool my computer with piss? That's the kind of like, and it's, you know what, that's fine. That's great for Twitch. You don't need to be smart. You just need to do stuff. All right, let's get started. I love this mix. I'm enthralled with these tunes, but the real world must win out, and I must fade away on the 8-ball. We'll have this mix for next stream. There's still like 5 hours left in it, which is pretty awesome. Oh, that was not. Yeah, meandering, atmospheric, like techno-y noise kind of stuff is like a weakness. That's awesome stuff. I love it, and it's particularly good because it's kind of like a wallpaper for my stream, so I can talk over it. Hopefully the mix was okay on that. I need to listen in on my mix to see if you guys can hear what I'm talking. How hard would it be to get the fail data out of a saw stop? There is probably an API. There was recently a video. I forget who the creator was, but apparently I'm subscribed to them. And they did a teardown of a saw stop, and you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't have guessed it. You wouldn't think. But we keep finding STM32s in stuff. This drum pad uses an STM32. Now, okay, STM32F, and then the next couple numbers will define what generation of STM it is, right? This is a 104. That's like a 10-year-old microcontroller. More modernly, the saw stop, of all things, used an STM7 something or other. 7. That is a brutally powerful microcontroller. That's like a really, really, really powerful microcontroller. Yeah, I have more than I would like now, just because all of these like force feedback projects are going to be using STM microcontrollers. So I've got a couple little test boards here just so I could get comfortable using it. There are Arduino cores for the STM series, and because I'm an Arduino nerd, I appreciate programming things kind of in a more rudimentary system. The STM stuff I get kind of lost in, and especially like Platformio, I don't know, Platformio I'm going to call it. Platformio is a little bit much. I know I should be running it. It can both make my insulin pump software and program an Arduino very simply. It's a little bit more complicated. It's a little bit more like real production. And so I like things to be kind of like the recorder flute version of the Star Wars song and not the orchestral version of the Star Wars song. You know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so the saw stop, at least the one at this YouTube channel, I linked it in the Discord. If you look in the general section and you scroll up about a mile, you could find that sort of teardown that a YouTuber did. I don't remember the name, so I'm just kind of like talking. I don't mean to discredit the person. I did link it in YouTube, in Discord. But anyway, this thing was basically a mechanism where it would let go of a wire by overheating it. So it had a very strong FET, 2 very strong FETs that were responsible for calibrating the amount of power out of a bunch of capacitors. So it was able to measure the charge of the capacitors and the oomph that the capacitors still had, right? It's able to measure that. And then it was able to just drop the hammer on a giant MOSFET with the big bank of capacitors, blow up a wire that would release a spring that puts the saw stop into the saw blade. The rest of it is capacitive sensing of your hot dog fingers against the metal of the blade. That's how the saw stop works. So how complicated is that? Well, I mean, you could do that, and you probably shouldn't, but you could do that with an ATtiny85. Bother, I don't know what the fuck you're talking. What's an ATtiny85? What is that? It's an Atmel microcontroller. It has 8 pins. And it just does stuff. It works at a fairly low rate. I mean, like, you could do that with a base level Atmega 328, which is the Arduino Uno. You could do that with an Arduino Uno. Now, when it comes to actual, my glucose level's going down, so my arm muscles are trying to like flex because of the buildup of lactic acid. The fingers will like do that. They'll like fold in. Okay, anyway, so I'm gonna keep I'm going to keep fondling an imaginary set of balls while we're... Anyway, so you could do that with any such like bargain bin microcontroller. The problem is it going to be in production in the future? Are the prices going to shoot up? Are there certain capabilities? There's all kinds of like reasons to choose this microcontroller over that. Why would the SolidStop use an STM32 that's like top of the line? Something that can do your math homework? I think it's because it's a safety device and they probably need to have comprehensive logging of what's going on in case one doesn't stop before your finger gets shredded. They need like a really good microcontroller that's fast and can get like by the millisecond information about what's going on. I think that's maybe why they go with the more expensive one, right? Yeah, what could go wrong? Well, that's the whole, it's the same debate about, I can make a traffic light with an Arduino. Why don't they? These things cost $20. Why do they have to spend thousands of dollars? Well, it's because the anatomy of a traffic light is very complicated. And there's a lot of very important things that need to go on or people die. And so you need to have clocks that are synced very well. You need to be able to have a police officer come over and take manual control of it. You need to have it throw errors when there's stuff wrong. And moreover, it needs to do that in a metal box in the sun 24 hours, 365 days a week. So you don't use an Arduino for that sort of thing. You could. That's sort of the, why is there a balls to the wall STM32 inside of something that is as simple as flipping a switch when a capacitive touch sensor goes off? That's why, because the other requirements of that sort of a system are very, very important. Long ass week, yeah. I've seen inside traffic boxes, they've got a ton of shit in there. Road Guy Rob just did a video on that, I think last month or something, and it was a really good video. It was sort of just a basic overview of what all the systems were and how they interact with each other and the cost, something like that. It was fascinating. It was actually a really good video. I was hoping to find something like that when I originally subscribed to Road Guy Rob. So he finally did the video that I wanted. I was so happy. Okay, anyway, what are we working on today? Are you sure it wasn't April Fool's? No, the SolidStop wasn't April Fool's. No, we are done with April Fool's. I'm glad. I'm glad for it. Useless. We are living in an age of disinformation, and as such, April Fool's is no longer like haha cute. Our taxpayer money at work. Listen, it's a good thing. Go watch the video. Go watch the video if you're so sarcastic about why stoplights are so damn complicated, because it makes sense. It's one of the few things that I'm okay with my tax dollars, my meager like $100 that I have to pay my state. I'm happy that it goes towards traffic lights. What the hell is this thing, bother? What have you done? What have you done? Over a lifetime of being a big baby nerd, I have collected a whole bunch of simulator stuff. The VKB pedals are over there. There's a helicopter flight pedals. Steering shaft from Mercedes-Benz. It's adjustable. We crashed it, so it's a little bit more compact. Mercedes-Benz S-Class, maybe? Steering wheel. A BMW chair. Some of these things have been donated. Others have been bought. Others have been thrifted. And I need them all to come together now that the chair has been donated to me so that I have a coherent simulator setup. Need is doing a lot of work here. This is basically going to be my big, giant, masturbatorious sim setup where I have things that feel like I'm driving a real car, but I'm driving a virtual car. And a side effect of that, using modern car stuff, is that cars work different nowadays. Things are a little bit different. No, there's no airbags. I do have a BMW airbag stashed away, and there's also the seats airbag is sitting on that shelf right there by my Crystal Pepsi, my precious Crystal Pepsi. There are not many of these Crystal Pepsis left. You could sell that for, I think, $100. But if I accidentally static discharge this thing's going to blow up with it. And then I will have 30-year-old Crystal Pepsi all over everything. Maybe I should move that little airbag deployer. Anyway, no airbags, because, everybody wants me to, like, fucking die. Everybody says, bother, why don't you have a guillotine attached to this thing? Bother, you could put a knife on a solenoid, and you could fucking just move the knife around your face really fast. And Bother, why don't, instead of a fart machine, why don't you have a fart spray? You guys listen to yourselves? Do you listen to yourselves? Do you maybe read your comment back to yourself and maybe think about the outer repercussions? I mean, I know we're in like a huge debt of empathy on the internet. You know, it just doesn't exist, but it would help if you guys would just interact with the real world for just a second and think about why I might not want to have an airbag in my fucking simulator steering wheel. Maybe that would be bad. Do you know what airbags do to people? You get burns and you inhale smoke and powder that are unworldly. The thing is, that's preferable to freaking dying, right? But it's not preferable to me having a nice evening of gaming. I do things to frustrate me. I will build in features to this thing as a result of it being mostly a digital system that will frustrate me. There's a lot of motors in this stuff. We're using a lot of luxury car things, and apparently fancy people putting their pinky out when they're, you know, adjusting their little glasses like to push little buttons and have things happen. You go, hoo, ha, 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 ooh, the seat's moving, instead of pulling up on a lever and just moving it to where you want it to. No, it has to move on its own. So in that sense, I can give you guys control of some things in there. And if the system's going together the way that I see it going together, we will have good API access into the simulator stuff as well. So we'll be able to affect the amount of control that I have, affect the amount of feedback that I have, how much force it takes me to turn the wheel, possibly turning on the seat heat. We don't have an HVAC system in the simulator. I could maybe give you guys a fan to turn on, and that would do something. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of work between here and there. And right now we are at the stage where I'm trying to set up like a test to see whether or not the system that I want to put together can be put together and work the way that I want it to. I want to be able to reconfigure the system because it's not just car simulator. It's going to be stuff like, what do you call it? It's going to be stuff like dual joysticks, dual fisted joysticks, and there'll be, you know, like button panels, and there's going to be all kinds of just like everything, right? All at my fingertips. And I want to get all that stuff together, and I want it to be easy to use and reconfigure. And the way that I feel that I can do that is by doing what the car systems are doing. Just simply do what the car systems are doing. Everybody's speaking CAN bus nowadays. So if I have a fast CAN bus that's running all this stuff, OpenFFB, Open Force Feedback Board, the GitHub project, that also speaks CAN bus. If you want to make something that pushes buttons on that device that's connected to the computer, you can give it a CAN bus message and it'll go, cool, I'll hit that in the HID device, right? The computer device. Hey, Wonky Robot, thank you so much for subbing for 20 months. So yeah, what I figure what I can do is I can make everything speak CAN bus, number one. That means making a bunch of little CAN bus accessories that each of my joysticks and stuff will use. Because if it's all USB, like they're all individual USB devices, having the joysticks and the buttons that I hit and the, you know, whatever the hell, the wheel and all that stuff, having all that on individual USBs is going to be crazy. That would be like 12 USB devices to connect to the computer. And then does the game support multiples? Does it not? I don't know. What I figure I can do is have everybody speak CAN bus, and then I can have a Raspberry Pi speaking CAN bus. Alexa, shut up. I didn't say your name. If everybody's speaking CAN bus, then I can have a Raspberry Pi sitting also listening to CAN bus, and that can make the signals that'll set off the HID devices. It'll talk to the OpenFFB, it'll talk to a bunch of other HID devices, and what I want to use as an intermediary is Node-RED, because Node-RED you can... Node-RED you can have in between the devices, and it can take in CAN bus signals, change them around, and then send them back out as other packets. If I can have that happen quickly enough, maybe that'll work. Put a spray bottle in front of the fan. Like, literally, that's my example to call chat dumb. And people keep coming up with it. Like, what? Spray yourself with sulfuric acid, bother. What is my dog barking at? She might be barking just because I'm getting emphatic. She's going to town at that door right now. She hates it. I'm about to like scream at my dog. No, I guess if I'm barking down here, she's allowed to bark up there. That's just fair. But there are people home who should be discouraging her from barking so loudly. Yeah, maybe you can put a little spray bottle with some kind of an epoxy in it, and the spray bottle can spray you with epoxy, and then a lighter can light it up. That would be a really good idea if you just spray yourself with some like stinky chemicals so that you smell. Bother, what if, okay, listen, I'm an ideas guy, Bother, I'm an ideas guy, okay? I'm the guy who comes up with ideas. And my idea is that what you could do is you could put one of your big motors and you could put a baseball bat on it, and it'll fucking break your kneecaps when chat gives 2 bits. Chat just like wants blood. I don't understand. Anyway, no, I do understand. I hate it. I don't know why you guys think that I want to live a tortured existence. I have rights. I have rights. All right, I need a breadboard. We used up that breadboard over there. This one is for modular synthesizer stuff. I had a whole pile of them. It's bad enough that I'm making the money gun. The money gun is a capitulation of my own right to not be assaulted by my chat. Let's look down here. By the way, this is the motor. This big thing right here, this giant toe stubbing thing, that's the motor that I'm using. It's a 2 horsepower direct drive servo motor from Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi likes their own little environment with their motors, and so their encoder on the motor, their encoder on that thing is proprietary, and so we don't know how to talk to it. So we ripped it off. You have to actually break it off. And then there's a Canadian company, CUI Incorporated, that sells encoders. And their encoder fit on there using the exact same screw pattern. So we didn't have to do any drilling or modifying, which is always a nice place to be. Oh, you know what I did? I moved all my breadboards. They're not in this drawer anymore, the drawer of magical bins. They're not in here anymore. I moved them. We got to make a nice breadboard setup for this so that we're not questioning hardware the whole time. They're over there now with all the doll hands. They're all the way over there. Let me go get them. There's a big barge of dog hair like right there. Testo tuber. You need to simulate the exhaust of a diesel truck in front of you. I hate you guys. I just... All right. It is raining out today, so at least we're justified in being indoors. Back of Bother's head. Back of my head. Can we trust this one? I don't know. This one's kind of weird. Some of these are kind of old, and so I don't really want to use them. It's not that big of a deal to use an old breadboard, but sometimes you can run into problems with them where things aren't quite connecting the way they should. Yeah, this is a nice long one. That'll do. It doesn't look too bad. It's probably like 5 years old though. And as the bean counters capitulate, or rather as people capitulate to the bean counters, these get cheaper and cheaper. The metal inside of the clips gets cheaper and cheaper. These breadboards are a series of metal clips that typically span 5 pins. And so this is my example of that. That's why I keep this one up here. If I go to the microscope, I'm still kneeling on the floor. Where are we? See, there's just rows of little pinchy clips, 5 at a time. This one has the tracks that go down the way, so we can have our voltages on these, and we can build the rest of our circuit here temporarily. And that will allow us to speak to the steering wheel and regain our confidence in our own engineering abilities. All right, I'm gonna stand up, hold on. Yeah. I've messed with those a couple times. Yeah, they're really useful for building stuff. They're not great. They are not great for permanent projects, and I've seen too many YouTubers. Superfast Matt was the most recently guilty of this. He had a test setup, so I'm willing to forgive a little bit there, where he was putting his super fast car through wind tunnel testing, which meant, what is this? dog hair. What the fuck? Okay. Anyway, wind tunnel testing where he took a little model of his super fast, his salt flat car, and he put it on a pivot on top of his car, and he had a load cells on it and stuff in order to test how the wind was going across the surface. Blah blah blah. He had those load cells were hooked up on a breadboard that was, I think, glued or taped to the plywood that this thing existed on. That's not a good test setup. It probably worked for his purposes, but the thing that drives me the most crazy about these things is when you have one of these that don't have a girthy pin. And so if your pin is not... What are you guys are frisky today. If your pin is not this girthy, and it's like one of the like precision resistor leads that are really thin, even these get frustrating. It might not create a really good connection. And so if you're out there in the field, wiggling it is all well and the same, but you want to get like good data, you want like a more permanent connection, even on your temporary stuff. It's crazy to me, but all right, whatever. Loki is just hooking up stuff and hoping for the best. I had no idea what I was doing. You need to do a little research before you just start plugging stuff into stuff. Those are the split center that can adjust the processor spacing. You can run over to Thingiverse. Thingiverse has versions of these with big holes in the middle, and 3D printers have gotten good enough that they can print out this sort of cage, and then you can just peel back the adhesive and grab the rows from these. So you could actually build your own breadboard that has larger spacing in the middle. And yeah, it really helps for stuff like even for the Studio Zhao that's so spaced out, or like something like this. That light is going crazy. That's for nice idea. The idea light lit up. But yeah, so these modern microcontrollers, you know, they're big. They're not just a 7400 series chip anymore. These are for like your standard chips. They have non-standard ones. And somebody in my Discord was building one, and I was like, that looks pretty cool. Like maybe I should do that. I could do that on the resin printer, and I could make some cool translucent ones. I had a professor telling me some basic things about it. I see. When you get one of these new, it really helps to have a pen tool, even a thin pen tool, just something like this, that you can poke them with. And I've only had to do these on the more modern ones. The old ones that I find or buy, if they're old, they don't have to do this. I don't know. It's something about the machines that are making them that's making them too springy in the middle. And so your pin will like miss the thing and go to the side, and then it has to like force this thing around. So what I've had to do is just go through and just boop, boop, boop all the holes. And then you don't run into the frustrating thing where you try to press a resistor lead in there and the resistor lead just like buckles on you. It's so frustrating. For my ESP32 board, I got a breakout board with terminal blocks for more permanent wiring. Yeah, so sometimes you can buy like a little breakout board that'll just sit next to your thing, and it has like all the connections that you need, like in a more breadboard friendly format. But the breadboards that are specifically to put wide things on, those are pretty cool. Like for our ESP project here, for the LIN bus stuff that we're going to do now, I've taken up a lot of my rows, and this one specifically, the RP2040, well, actually, the Studio Zhao was made to be a sort of small footprint and be nice and easy to use with breadboards. Of course, they still run into the problem where it's not an even number, so you have to do 2 on one side and 3 on the other, or something of that nature. But anyway, I got to put this thing all the way up on the edge because I want to be able to get to that USB. That's how we're reading serial from this thing, and it's how we're going to know that we're communicating over LIN bus. Now, this is very familiar to me. The LIN bus thing that I bought, one of the few ones that I could find at the time when we were working on this, I think there are more now because I was able to find like Arduino libraries for this stuff. But originally, when I was poking around, like, what, 4 years ago, looking for LIN bus stuff when we were really getting into the steering wheel project, I was like, man, I can't find a thing about this. Like nothing, it's working. I found these for the Click board, which is a totally different, totally different, what are they called again? Prototyping boards. There was another word that I think I wanted to use, but I lost it. It's gone to the annals of time. Anyway, this is for the clickboard, so it's got like a specific size for a bunch of different hardware. This does not need to be this size. I think I made some smaller boards. I just don't know where they went. Hi, Gemini suggested... just let soul leave my body. When I asked about embedded streamers, we do firmware development. I'm currently interested and new to this embedded world. I have some programming experience. Chat, you don't need a resume to watch my stream. It's okay, man. Yeah, I don't appreciate AI very much here. You can get pretty far with AI using with embedded systems using AI. It does help if you know a little bit about what you're doing, because sometimes in embedded systems, there are scenarios where if I get the software wrong, I will brick the device or I will brick the thing that I'm trying to control. So you may need to know a little bit more, but I've never had a session as an expert, as somebody who's been doing microcontrollers. I can say this now. Somebody who's been doing microcontrollers on an advanced level for a century, like 10 years. I've never had it like truly succeed. I've never gone for higher pay tiers of this stuff, so maybe it's pretty good at what it does. I don't know. Flatulent Gonad tried to do it with a bunch of screens to get those running chat on some screens, and it worked for him. He got all these different screens running chat, and then mysteriously he smashed all of his screens with a hammer. So your mileage may vary. Don't bring AI into this field. I'm here because of AI. Has traditional software engineering lost the fun? I mean, I like to program things very specifically, and I don't see AI being as succinct as I am in programming. So yeah, you're probably right. Probably a very bad idea to bring AI into the realm of micros. AI could just run a traffic light, couldn't it? That's exactly what we were talking about earlier. I could put AI on an Arduino, just run a traffic light with that. It'd be fine. Bricked up? What are we bricking up? What, huh? Only thing I don't like about the module is it uses the cheap leaf spring terminals that squish the wires. I personally like the one that have two jaws that clamp together. The screw terminals on this thing are kind of useless because we're doing a test setup, and so I'm not really like out in the field attaching this to a car. You know, I wish I was. I was talking earlier and I don't remember if I ever got to the actual subject. This is like, welcome to Oh Bother's stream. I take a tangent, and I take another tangent, and I take another tangent. And if we're lucky, I'll come all the way back around to what I was talking about before. But sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't. I think my brain's broken. I think I'm a little bit divergent. Well, yeah, I have ADHD, so that's it. Down the rabbit hole with Oh Bother. This thing has backlights in it, and it also controls the amount of backlight, which is why I think it's so awesome. Because if I'm able to actually access the backlighting in the real car parts that I have, they will light up, and all these symbols will be beautiful and visible in a nice orange hue. You know, I could always put my own microcontroller inside of this thing. It's always an option. And if I do, I could make it use WS2812s, and I could have rainbow lights on everything, which would also be kind of cool. Because if there's like an error, I could have it show up in the light, individual light. We're not there yet. Hopefully we don't get there, because I do like using these things as they are created. Like this thing is totally 100% its own thing. What I don't know is on the Mercedes and on the BMW Lin stack, the Lin controls, is there an address that represents backlight? 0 to 255, 2 hex values that would represent backlight. 4, we can look it up on the CAN bus. Maybe that could give me the dimensions of the variable to use, whether I'm using 2 or 4 bytes. Fuck, which one is it? I forget. Whatever. In the signal, the LIN bus has stuff for me to put that information in there. I don't want to send a signal that's going to put it into like an update mode. I think those are reserved though. Those are reserved at the end of the numbers. So maybe if we go through the lower number values and just give it a number, maybe this backlight will show up. I would like to be able to find that, but the problem is all of the car companies that are using Lin, even though they have the hyper super duper nerds that like to decode these things, I'm not finding a directory of values. And part of the reason why that's the case is that in the LIN bus 2.0 protocol, I'm just saying this before we get into it, this is what's explained in the LIN bus. No, wait, that was the wrong one. That was the wrong one. That was the wrong one. I was looking for, it's a different window. It's a different, sorry, wrong window. Oh, no, maybe it was that window. Okay, so somewhere on this window, there it is. Okay, this is some kind of ascribed finding for me desperately Googling things. Just the most desperate Google. And the BMW F10 LIN bus communication overview. Now this is an overview, so it doesn't have all the information that I need. What it does say, and I don't know how to blow up the text. I can control scroll, but it doesn't, that kind of works. Okay, so this is specifically for the BMW F10, which is where this comes from. It's where the chair comes from. It's where the shifter over there comes from. We have projects that run the shifter, they're CAN bus. This is specifically talking about LIN bus in the BMW F10, diamond in the rough. This thing has exactly what we need to know in it. The problem is, it's an overview. It's an overview. It doesn't have the very specific things. But what it does lay out for us is that, yeah, see, the problem is these, okay, so these tables that say, oh, like, oh, there's my device. Let's see, vehicle exterior mirror, seat adjustment switch block. Seat adjustment switch block driver's side, that's speaking LIN bus? That might be very helpful. We should get in between, because, wait a minute, because this thing here, this computer is speaking LIN bus to the controls on the chair, and we've powered the chair on, and we've had it control things using that switch panel. So if I listen in on that switch panel, maybe this will communicate some stuff over. Let's put that feather in our cap and call it macaroni. More macaroni. Well, you need to find somebody willing to let you borrow their BMW for, yeah, reverse engineering. What I need is the Mercedes, because the Mercedes, I can't find any information about the Mercedes. For BMW, I could probably scrape forums deep enough, or, you know, this is technically going to be communicating with that switch panel, so maybe we can get in between the two. Unless they mean, like, switches on the door, which they might. I don't know, like, that's a possibility that we may listen in on this. Okay, so we have driver's door switch block, not quite. Headlight driver, module right. Headlight driver module, no, that's not it. Driver module left. Driver assist systems, I don't know. It's one of these. I mean, it's, you know, apparently, because again, this is just showing you the topology. So the topology is that CAN bus speaks to this thing, and then LIN bus speaks to all these other things on different lines. That's all they're trying to say here. It's sort of the forest for the trees. We want the bugs on the trees. This is the shape of the forest, and we don't need that. But what they do say here, and what they plainly lay out for us, which is important, is they say the synchronization of the LIN bus takes place. So what happens is we have a LIN bus. I forget where it's saying. It gives us 2.0. We are LIN 2.0. Data transfer rate of LIN starts from 2.4 to 19.2 kilobits per second. A closing termination is not absolutely necessary. System function. The synchronization of the LIN bus takes place at the beginning of each message transmitted by the master. That's the 0x55. It sends a 101010, and then you count the distance, but the time between the two, and that'll give you your bus speed. And you have to do this really quick. It does it really fast. The components for V2.x are delivered with a device ID and basic configuration. The final dynamic configuration and allocation of the identification number takes place during startup via the master control unit. The data protocols become more variable as a specification 2.0 if desired, Sporadic messages are also permitted in addition to the periodic messages. A master control unit can transmit so-called multiple queries to a group of slaves in order to reduce the load on the bus. Addressed by slaves only respond when values are modified, as in like door contact. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's what we could do. Oh yeah, here's the other thing. Backwards compatibility. So one thing that Lin can do, and this is the confusing part, one thing that Lin is able to do, listen, it's been like a week since I streamed. I'm sorry. I am sorry about that. Life has gotten in the way, but in the interim time, I've been reading about this stuff. So if I say something confusing, I apologize. It's because I've been embroiled in their language, the Lin Consortium's language. They write things in their own kind of terms, and while they do work as their own terms, I'm sure they're not just their own terms. It's just I need to relearn all this language. So they call that a frame, is the whole packet, which is a call to wake up, a timing instruction, and then a specific address that's getting pulled. Then that address, having synced up to the signal and figured out that it's being pulled, will then reply with data. And the data length is dependent on what address is replying. So you have a block of addresses that have 1 byte, then you have 4 bytes, then you have 8 bytes. So if you're putting in a couple analog signals on the line, if you're pulling a couple analog signals, it'll probably be a higher number. There's also a thing where the other device, the thing that you're pulling, would have a state change on the switch. If I pushed a button, it would have a state change. And so this thing would be able to say, it would make its own frame, and it would say, hey, das button, it was pushed. And so the master doesn't acknowledge it, I don't think. I'm not sure. I don't know how that works. On top of all this, the addresses of all the devices can vary. They can be set. So the master device can say, hey, who's out there? And all of these other devices will say, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. They'll say, hey, your address is this, your address is this, your address is this. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works. That sounds very crazy and complicated and weird. My hope is that this thing somewhere in its non-volatile memory is stored some kind of an address that had once been assigned to it. Because it says that they're addressed from the factory as well. So maybe we don't have to interact with that functionality at all. If I have to, I will just pull this thing and figure out what the state of the buttons are. And that's as far as we'll interact with it. So there's a couple things here that we really need to get into, and it's a lot. I apologize for having to explain this to you, but it's a lot. I remember my friend was removing everything from the interior of his rally car, and the ECU security system wouldn't start without the door locks. So he left them dangling in the doors. Yeah, that's what happens with these things. And sometimes you can get into the ECU. Sometimes there's software that you can get into the ECU, especially with BMWs. They have some of the like low-level engineering software tools now for up to this generation where you can really get in there and like disable these functions because you don't need them, right? But we've had to work around this kind of stuff in cars for the past decade or two. It's crazy. I had to, with my ABS system, I had to register it to my car and reprogram it. And then it was able to work because it works with a security system, apparently. It has a little security checkup at the very beginning to make sure that it's not in some kind of a mutant car, which is unfortunate because most of us still working on those are some kind of a mutant car. This was Porsche? Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I see. I mean, you know, in the end, it probably is, but are the tools available for mere mortals? That's the questionable part. And at that point, just a standalone ECU would probably be better for tuning-wise. There's another one of these clickboards in here, and I think I removed the screw terminal from it. So if we could find that, that would be peachy keen. There's probably also the MLX90, the MLX, whatever this one is. Oh no, ATA 6635, whatever. Anyway, whatever microcontroller or whatever LIN bus transceiver this is, I think I probably have it on a breakout board if we could find it. This is a mess though. Might not be able to find it. I want to make a nice clean, oh no, never mind. I want to make a nice clean setup here because I don't want to be questioning whether or not my hardware is the problem. I'm the problem, not my hardware. This is for the load cell. That will need some other time. Oh, there's so much work to do. We got a lot of work to do, chat. I got to try to get through some of it. I'll have to do some work on the side without you guys there. I'm so sorry. I don't think we need multiple LIN bus yet, so we're going to start with this thing, and we'll just hook it up over here, and that way I can bust it out to some of the pins on this side. We all have stupid questions. You should be fine. Yeah, don't worry about that. I may pan some of you guys for asking questions that are like, why don't you beat yourself up, bother? Like, you know, but well-meaning questions are always welcome. Or is it worth hacking or leaving the door locks installed? Yeah, if it's not that big of a deal. I don't know. If you've got a race car, maybe you do want to actually get into the nitty-gritty of the tuning, right? Okay, so let's get this thing hooked up first, and then I'll get the steering wheel over here, and we'll see if we can communicate with the steering wheel. Yeah. Why do you want to hurt me so much, chat? What have I ever done to you? Interactivity with the real world is fine. It's just we gotta get more creative, chat. More creative. What if you have an ultraviolet laser beam hit the retina, directly into the retina, and then you blow up an airbag and then you drop into a pit of alligators? That would be really fun. He got an ECU that didn't care, ended up with an engine making 1,040 horsepower. See, that's why you do that. That's crazy. That's crazy, especially for a Porsche, because that wasn't even meant to be a real car. That's not really a real car with the engine and back. What is that? It's a Volkswagen Beetle. They didn't even know what cars were when they built that thing. So hey, I invented something that rolls around. Wow, great job. Let's stick with that for the remainder of time in memoriam. Sure, that's a demonstrably bad design. Let's just keep it. I can make fun of Porsche because I used to own one. I had a 944 though. My summer car, but IRL. I mean, many of us want to live that dream. This is the inception of the steering wheel project, was a LAN party where we played My Summer Car, and I did the dangerous thing. I thought, hey, this would be kind of cool with like a real wheel. I could be more in control of what was going on. Build 2 more cars left and right, and they smash into you as they drive. Just a big hammer, and it'll just hit me in the back of my head and give me a baseline skull fracture like Dale Earnhardt. Okay, what are we doing? Let's just hit rewind a little bit here. So we need to hook this thing up, which is simple enough. It basically just takes in a TX and an RX, and we can assign that to just about any pin on this thing, unless we want to use the serial that this thing puts out. The only problem is, in order to wake up the LIN bus devices, you have to give it a constant low signal, and it measures how long that line has been held low. And if it's long enough, it'll either wake up or listen to the next thing you have to say, right? So I need to hold that line low. I could send hexadecimal 00, but there are termination bits in that serial thing, and the termination bits will show up in the middle of that line. So what people generally do is they just bit bang it. They just say signal low, wait this amount of time, signal high again. We got to do that with a TX and an RX. So it seems like we can just pick any pin, and we're going to have to manually what's called bit bang this. Bit banging is when you take over the job of the serial UART, Universal Asynchronous Receive Transmit, UART. The UART is your serial. It can take a lot of these finicky serial tasks away from you and do it for you so you don't get frustrated. But we're going to have to manually go in and operate it on our own. That's called bit banging. It takes up a lot of the microcontroller's brain power, especially if you're on something less powerful like an Arduino and you've got one thread going throughout this thing. What serial port will do is in the background, it'll have what are called interrupts, where one thread will go, oh, hold on, I got to go do something else, and it does something else, and then it comes back to your code running. In the case of these, like RP2040, we definitely have tons of threads. There's probably a couple threads in it. It could do this very easily, but if we bit bang, then we're taking all of that behind the scenes stuff away from it. Would you use the PIO or just the classic bit bang? What's the PIO? I don't know what that is. Or I do and I just don't remember. The passive IO. PIO device, oh, platform IO device monitor. I don't use platform IO, so I don't really know. I see. Programmable IO. Interesting. No, I haven't interacted with that, so I don't know what it is. Ooh, breadboard. Yeah, we're piecing this thing together. We're trying to hack into car accessories. So I've got this headlight switch here. It's kind of filthy. It's got like boogers on it and stuff. And I want to be able to get some info out of this thing. We tried last time, and I got the whole thing pretty hastily set up, and then it kind of just farted. It didn't do anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the LIN bus so that we can talk to the steering wheel, and then we can take baby steps to talk to the real thing. So for the beginning of this, we need to do a little bit of breadboarding in order to get this thing running. Now, what does this need? What do you need? You output 5 volts, but I don't need you to output 5 volts. We're going to have 12 volts. Oh, burping. I had a pulled pork sandwich for lunch, and it's not gonna be kind to me. I've taken famotidine. I've done this to try to prevent horrible disasters, but as I'm emphatically talking to you guys about these projects I love, I'll probably be hiccuping a couple times. With pure lava. So anyway, we need ground, we need enable. Was enable high? I think enable was 5 volts. We could probably give this 3 volts and it'll enable anyway. Don't need reset. All of these others are no connects for whatever the hell board this thing came from. I know I've got one of these on a breakout board that does all the stuff that it needs to do a little bit better, but we'll use these for now, the little click boards. That's 5 volts. Is that 5 volts out or in? Okay, so maybe we'll just hook this up with 5 volts. This thing is an RP2040. I think it tolerates, just barely tolerates 5 volts. So we're gonna run this pin to the plus and we'll run ground to the minus. And then that will give us our power on the breadboard. Now that means that this side will be powered down. I'm gonna leave that open in case I need anything else in there. Again, okay, there, that worked. Just give that a little tug. Schnuppy. Oh! Oh, it's so stupid. Okay, that didn't work. That was way too... Okay, just mess up the first one that I'm doing. What is this clown show? Schnuppy. Oh! Yeah, we'll use the microscope for this, because things are... This is driving me absolutely bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. What the... It's very important at this stage to make a nice, neat breadboard setup, and I'm not just saying that to be funny. The neatness of this setup will make it so that we're not questioning our hardware all the time. We cannot have it so that we're wondering if, oh, that connection's a little weird, I need to push down on it. Yeah, I don't know, this one's just like not aligning. This might be a damaged hole. It looks fine from here, but I'll just take a pin tool and smush it. It doesn't bode well for the rest of today if the first one that I'm trying to hook up is fighting me. Usual experience of using a stapler. I've not had that experience very much. These are also cheap. Everything's cheap, so it's terrible. Cheap and terrible going hand in hand. Yeah, see there, now it works after I dredge out the hole. Okay, so there's that one. This is a fairly stupid run, but okay, it's fine, it's fine. We can do it. We can do it. Oh yeah, I feel these are cheap. These bend so easily. Yeah, they're not using their finest. This is taking excruciatingly long. It's just because this particular jumper kit is not good. Ugh, geez, that was painful. All right, that's compact enough. Okay, so there's power and ground on that rail. I could bring it over to the other rail. I could also tap. No, it doesn't look like that's not a ground. They're being very efficient with these pins here. So let's get some longer jumpers, and I'm going to drop those around the edge. Aren't your jumper wires supposed to be straight? Nope. Bro's at a 120-degree angle. Yeah, it's these do not have to be straight from inception to destiny. They can be all kinds of different shapes. Free yourself from the bounds of your rigid expectation of wires. They also don't have to be the length that they are. Because now, bend this one down. A great man once said, "Schnish, nosh, stuppy." Oh. Stuppy, stuppy, stuppy. The crocodile. Okay, that's not. Come with me. There you go. That one was minus. So minus to minus, plus to plus. What is? Ugh, this is a hateful breadboard that I've grabbed. This thing has like a grudge. It's got a grudge. I'm actually going to move this one to positive because it's yellow, or because it's red. I usually use red for positive 5 volts and yellow for positive 12. Just follow the computer convention. You can't quite do that with the breadboard jumpers. Some people use the same color wire for their whole design. These psychos out here have all the same color wire for everything. Can I make this work with this sort of like mid-length? Might be able to. Definitely not. No, there's no way. Okay, I was right. I can't do it. These are super cheap, though. These bend really easily. Yeah, sometimes you just can't find the right jumper, and so cutting them is perfectly legal. This is a war. We're not looking to save face here. Red for lower and orange for higher. Interesting. We'll go with ketchup and mustard here. The best Windows theme. What the audio in that skeleton video is making fun of the Schnappy theme, which is a German crocodile show. Hence why it says crocodile. And the reason Joel Vinesauce Joel went crazy about it is because Schnappy sounds a lot like dick in Swedish. I like it because it's just silly. It's just silly. Okay, what the fuck? It was fighting me for some reason. Oh, and then it cut way too long. Ugh. All right, so now our rails are positive 5 volts and ground. Assuming that goes in without bending. Jeez. Okay, this breadboard has a grudge against me. Just the worst. Okay, all right. We're getting there. All right, so now we can wire up the clickboard. Arduino's already wired up. It's on the lines. We don't know what TX and RX is going to be, but we can wire that and keep it kind of tight to the board. And that should do it. And then, of course, we need to break out these 3 and put them somewhere over here where we can do multiple connections on those lines, because ground is going to be connected to our system ground. LIN bus is, of course, coming in, but it's at 12 volts, and then 12 volts is obviously at 12 volts, and that can hurt the rest of our system over here. So we're going to keep all the 12 volt stuff on this side. and then we can hook up the steering wheel to this, and it'll be flat, and it won't be a bunch of jumper wires up in my face, frustrating me. Okay. It's like, this is baby stuff. This is all very simple. It's like not even beginner, but I stress, especially on this show, doing things this way and being painfully neat and organized, because when the chips are down and you're frustrated at your system and you're wondering why things just are always, why is dog barking now? Oh, it's so much dog barking, Willow. Corgis are not quiet dogs. She is the love of my life, and she's wonderful. But boy, oh boy, if you're in streaming and you like your nice clean audio, don't get a Corgi. Don't get a Corgi. She's like 500% personality, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Simple, I'm not qualified for this. I am literally hooking up power to power and ground to ground. I don't know how I could get more simple. Gird up your loins and dive in, because you're smarter than you're giving yourself credit for. This is rocket peripherals, and you're good at it. Oh, this one's closer, so I need a smaller one. That's too small. That's not the right one. This is literally the most complicated thing about what I'm doing is selecting jumpers. I'm not engaging with it on a deeper level. Now, the signal stuff that I just explained is complicated, and it has taken me 3 days to remind myself of how that all works. But hopefully I'm better for it. There's just a lot of stuff going on in the background too that was getting in the way of stream. Son of a... Okay. Can't find just the right distance on this. And these tweezers I use for soldering, not for breadboarding. These don't really grip all that much, so the wire is going to like twist in it as I'm trying to push it in, which is very annoying. Very annoying indeed. All right, so what's the slightly longer version of that one? Orange? No, it's actually gray. Okay, gray is the one that I'm looking for in this specific kit. Major health, not electrical stuff. No, I can't really draw parallels for you. But there sometimes are. There sometimes are. I had an eye doctor who liked to do stuff with soldering and resistors and things. I don't know what he was doing specifically. Maybe just weird projects or something. All right, so TX and RX. We had it on particular pins. I guess we could just use the same pins again. So we've got to look at our code. No, this is the one. And 115200 serial, that's the regular serial. And then we were running, that's right, we're running my own bitbang. And so up at the top of the code is where you put this kind of stuff, just in case you want to reconfigure. 15 and 14. Now, the problem with some of these RP2040 things is that these pins, as I assign them, I can say pin 15 and I can say pin 14, but what do they represent in terms of the numbers on the outside of the device? So if I look at the breakout board that the, WaveShare made, there is 15 and 14 in the right here. You can see it on the, it's hard to see, right there and there, 15 and 14. Does that mean that when I say 15 and 14 over here, that's what that means? I have pulled up a pinout somewhere for the WaveShare specific RP2040. So GP 15 and 14 are 15 and 14. Okay. I2C1, we're not using it as I2C, so I think that'll work. So we'll just go to pins 15 and 14 from here to here. Doing it flat on the board would be kind of nice, coming out of this thing. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop it down, go over, and then back up. So I can get out of the way of this stuff. because it's got to go a pretty big distance. And these, when you're working with modules like this, they take up the whole damn board. Technically, I could go up and in and over, but that would defeat the purpose of being able to unplug these on the fly. So I guess we're stuck with these long ass wires, and then we'll hook it up and we'll see if it works at all. I was considering whether or not I wanted to actually have like an additional LIN bus thing on this, so I could get the TX and the RX some other way. Why is the microscope looking way up there? Let's move that back a little bit so we can work down here. Okay, so these are actually, no, these are absurd. I need something in between. The problem with these breadboard kits is that they sometimes don't have in-between sizes. I could almost consider using the pins on the other side of the board. These RP2040 things, I got them for like $2 each, and I have a ton of them. So these are what's going to be going into all the accessories. Like one of these is going to be the Thrustmaster Warthog. So it'll be responsible for all of the analog axes. It has a bunch of analogs on the one side, and then it'll also be doing shift registers and buttons and whatnot. Your elemental power is green. I don't know if that's a reference. I don't know. I'm too millennial to get that. Unless you're just talking crystals and shit. Yeah, I should know more about health sciences, given that I'm been living my life in and out of doctor's offices for diabetes, among other things. I recently started the Ozempic. I'm on that Ozempic, and it's done wonders. I'm still, I mean, from this shot from like last weekend, I don't know when that was, it's whenever the camera decided to freeze. I'm still dumpy fat, but it's going places. Those GLP-1s are very powerful. I've been on them since many, many years ago, and I kind of stopped for a little while. And now that I'm back on them, it's like, okay, these things are powerful. The newer ones completely redefined how I interact with hunger and portion sizes and stuff like that. It's pretty goddamn amazing. It's some high-level biohacking. I kind of want more room on my breadboard. That's going to get in the way of stuff. I'm going to drop it out to here, come down and around. So I need something longer than this. So it's probably going to be the red ones again, because the only other sizes are orange, maybe orange. This wire is very soft. I don't know where they found this terrible metal. It's way too soft. Like comparing it to this, which has a little bit more springing. I don't know how to display this to you guys. I like alternative special vision systems like thermal cameras, night vision, stuff like that. Really interesting to me. One day, maybe we'll build something that uses RF as sort of a vision augmenting. It's like a superpower, but I can't really show you the feel of the wire over some kind of a system that you guys would be able to like trust. That'd be cool if I could do that. Feel of vision. Load cells in my arms. I got bugs in my skin. I got bugs in my skin. Fentanyl crazy. Some stupid burnt peanut. Is that what the guy's name is? Burnt peanut? Boiled peanut? I don't know. Bit. That's Sark got stuck in his head. And then I heard through his stream, watching his stream, and now it's stuck in my head. That's not fair. Yes. The sides of the breadboard, they have these little troughs, and then on the other side you've got dovetails. And so, Annoying Peanut, it basically is Annoying Peanut, but a streamer. So you can connect these in all kinds of ways and have a coherent setup for all sorts of different purposes. I know some of the modular synthesizers like to use 3 voltages, so they'll put 2 rails in there, and then you've got 4 bus lines that run all the way down the board. They're much easier to do for the 3 voltage system of modular synths. And I've had things where you have like on a cart, you'll have a whole breadboard setup. We were looking at those the other day, and they're $75, unfortunately, because those would have been really cool to use for the modular synth stuff, because you got all this space, you have all these switches and hookups and stuff. Did pretty good. What's up, Lawn Dog? You did pretty good using your fingers, not a pair of needle nose. You must still have dexterity in your fingers. Yes, even though my blood glucose level dictates that now I have to have massive amounts of lactic acid in my blood, thus making my fingers try to fold themselves in. That can sometimes, why are you not coming down from that? Hold on one sec. Let's see if the system wants to be aggressive, but sometimes doesn't hit me with as much insulin as I'd like. It says I need 16 grams of carbohydrate. I say I need 2 more units of insulin. My sensitivity is way up after getting on the Ozempic, because portions are down, weight's down, sensitivity up. Pretty cool. Good stuff. My fingers feel puffy. Nothing severe, but it's there. Yeah, I feel red. They're always red. I used to have green mats on this show. This gray is kind of getting close to green, but I had a green mat, which means that the histogram of colors that I was getting was missing a lot of red, and so it would crank up the red saturation, and so I looked like I was about to blow up into a blood fountain. It looked like my blood pressure was like measured in PSI, like a car tire, like a truck tire. What is Ozempic? GLP-1 inhibitor, I want to say. It basically, I don't know if it's a reuptake or if it's, I forget which the mechanism is on it, but it makes you feel satiation more easily. It's kind of a broken mechanism in a lot of like type 2 diabetics. I have a feeling it's the case in a lot of type 1 diabetics, where the feedback loop of your stomach is a little bit messed up, and so you eat a lot without feeling sated. And in doing so, there's a whole bunch of other biological, very old and deep biological mechanisms that are also revolving around those hormones that are being ignored by your body. The GLP-1, I don't know if it keeps you from reuptaking or if it just keeps you from being as sensitive to it. If it, I forget which the mechanism is, and I keep saying that because I'm not a bioscience person, but I know a thing or two about a thing or two. But anyway, the point is you feel sated. And so your brain goes, wait a minute, what were we doing? I was talking about food, but I feel sated, so I don't feel like talking about food. And you're like, oh, hey there, brain, it's been a while. What you up to? And people have been using the GLP-1s to treat ADHD. It's very, everything's interrelated. Cells interlinked. Okay, so we got this thing hooked up again. We need to hook it up to LIN-bus. I'm not going to hook it up to LIN-bus. I am going to instead hook it up to, first of all, the 12-volt power supply, which will have come in from somewhere else so I don't disturb where the wires are. In an emergency, I can rip out the wires. So I got this shit coming in here. And that goes over to ground and 12 volts. So that's going to jumper in. So we're going to wait to hook that up. We'll do all the jumpers at once later. And then the scope. Now the scope come in here. The Stream Deck seems to be a nice wire routing device. It keeps, it's a little girthy, and it kind of holds its own, so I can route wires around it and be a little cleaner on the bench. So if I really want to, I'll do this. Hop over here, get across the Samson, fly it to the moon and back. And then I've got all of my annoying jumpers coming in from above. Get these out of the way. The wire cutters hanging around, all these expensive wires. Yeah, no. We're putting those away. It's an agonist? What does that mean? Like, what does it do molecularly then? So it's not reuptake. It's not... Agonist means that it goes in instead of the chemical, right? And therefore there's more of the chemical floating around. GLP-1 medications basically mimic the hormone of the same name, and it triggers insulin release and slows digestion. Well, I can tell you what it doesn't do in my body. That shit ain't releasing insulin. My pancreas has had enough of my bullshit, and it decided to take a vacation from insulin. Your pancreas is like a sponge of glands, so And it's also like the no-no place for surgeons. They don't go anywhere near the pancreas. This needs a different color wire just so I know which one's which. This one needs like a blue wire. I don't have any blue wires. What do you think I am? All right, we'll make this one the red wire. Skill issue. It is. I don't know if I got sick or just I was genetically disposed to it, but my immune system said, hey, islets of Larange, you guys seem to have beta cells in you. And they go, what? But that's, we're supposed to have beta cells in us. That's how we make insulin. My immune system was like, not on my watch. And so it decided to attack that shit. And as a result, I got made fun of in school for having to take needles out. Are you injecting drugs? Are you doing heroin? Yeah, I'm doing heroin. Please leave me alone. It can help lower your A1C since you got that type 1. No, what I do have is a giant fat ass. And so I would be type 2 even if I wasn't type 1 already. It sucks. There is a feedback loop that I unfortunately submitted to of being stressed out and not exercising, and then growing fat, and then the growing fat ups your insulin resistance, and then your insulin resistance makes it so you don't feel hunger the same way, and you release more insulin per meal, and then the meals get larger, and then the basal rate goes up. The basal rate is the constant injection from your insulin pump. Back in the day, basal rate goes up, which means you're getting more growth hormone, which means you grow more and you store more fat, and then that more fat causes you to be more resistant to the insulin. Da 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 da. And you get fat if you don't exercise regularly, and I didn't. I should have gotten myself into those habits. So I got all the weight. GLP-1s are helping to fix that. They break that feedback loop. The closed loop insulin stuff also helps with that too. And so now with the GLP-1, I can not eat, make sure I don't go diabetic ketoacidosis, and the weight is starting to melt off. Hopefully it continues to melt off. I need to like rein in my habits. And once that feedback loop is broken, and I've kept it broken long enough, hopefully I can kind of reprogram my body a little bit to not need as much to get sated. I might not get there. That's the problem with this, is I might be on these drugs forever. I don't know. We'll see. That very well may be. Okay. So we have a breadboard set up. We need to hook up a couple lines for LIN-bus over here. So I'm going to use, I guess, leftover pieces of jumpers that I've cut. But I probably don't have enough leftover pieces of jumpers that I've cut. Oh, look. More leftover pieces of jumpers that I've cut. Where did those come from? How lucky of me to find such things. Disclaimer, not an expert, still in college. Yeah, we got to make sure to throw out those disclaimers. Listen, none of this is health advice. Absolutely nobody here is a doctor, even if they say they are. My own personal anecdotal experience does not constitute that of a professional. I am anything but. If what I say makes sense, check yourself, because I'm not a medical expert. We live in a world where I have to say that, huh? We live in a society. My father. All right, so here are our little yumpity little yumpers. We can get those hooked up to here. Something just buzzed by my ear, or I just heard something weird, or there was like an electrical anomaly, but it sounded like slow buzzing of wings. Is there a stink? It might have been a stink bug coming out of that freaking chair. Schizophrenia? Is that a symptom? Was that just a symptom? Listen, when I got this chair from my brother, it sat in the shop on the floor. This is this Thanksgiving that I got it. And every now and then I would like sit on the chair and get up, and there'd be a stink bug. It's like, oh great, it's a stink bug. I gotta get that thing into a toilet before it stinks. I hate the smell of stink bugs, man. That chemical that they make is horrible. So I'd find one, then I found another one the next night. And I found another one, and I was like, wait a second. And so I looked all in the chair, all in the crevasses of the chair, and I found something circular, very, very small, circular and white. And I almost immediately looked up stink bug egg. It was a stink bug egg. My brother had Trojan horsed a couple stink bug eggs into my shop. So I crushed one egg. It was the only one I could find. I beat the shit out of the chair to try to get the eggs to fall out of it. Didn't find any more. So I'm not sure if on warmer days, if we might be seeing more stink bugs, but they will fly by. And if they fly by your ear, it's a very low, like, and that's what I just heard. But I don't, that can't be. That can't be. I think I got them all because it's been a cold winter. It's been a cold winter. May need tweezers for this. I'm gonna use tweezers for this. How's chat doing? I know it's been the Immortal show today, which I'm fine with. Totally fine. I love you guys for chatting. You're great. Great, great, great. Love you, love you, love you. Because it keeps me from going insane. As you've seen, prone to hearing things like bugs. Whip out the flamethrower. The bug assault will not work unless that mofo is trying. Why did nothing gripped? I expect a little grippy every now and then. Post-traumatic stink bug disorder. Listen, man, getting those things from the paper towel to the turlet, because they're not going in the garbage, even if I crush them, because they let out this particular stink, these stink bugs, and it's horrifying. Ugh. It's traumatizing. Maybe I am just hearing things. That one didn't seem released. Bugs in Khalid and I never did Elden Ring very much. I wasn't a big fan of those brown games. Those games are like, it's so monochrome. Everything is just dark and miserable, and all the characters are dark and miserable. And it's, I hear they're a lot of fun though. They're very, very pleasing to get good at. Oh, ground. This is supposed to be ground wire. No, not red is not ground. Red's gonna be Lin bus. Gray is gonna be ground. They're fun but incredibly difficult. Listen, coming as a Mega Man super fan, I'm familiar with difficulty. I have not been gaming lately. I haven't played any games in a while. Abiotic Factor was my jam just before I took a bit of a hiatus. I should get back into some games. I've just been trying to get a lot of real world stuff done. And by the time I'm done, I'd rather just watch somebody else play a game. Hey, you play it. I'm just going to hang out. This is taking a while. I'm sorry. This is taking a little while. Am I going the right direction? No. No, I was going in the right. I was right tidy. Why does this have so far to go? What's going on here? It's like clicking. What the? What? Oh, I see. It needs to be popped down. It actually popped itself upwards. These can be finicky. There we go. Okay. I was going the wrong way. We don't have any stink bugs in here in Ireland, thankfully. I've only heard about them and how horrible they are. Yeah, so they're ubiquitous here because they're invasive as hell. And they just kind of hang out because there aren't really any predators because they're disgusting. It's not good. What the? I swear to crap. Okay, I'm gonna get this thing seated in there and then tighten this thing down. It is tightened down. What is up with this thing? There. Yeah, so they're kind of like impervious to criticism, and they just kind of hang out. And when you squish them, they unleash just like a chemical smell. It just kind of twinges your nostril. It's horrible. It's hard, awful, terrible. Generally, it's just better to not deal with them at all. This is not exactly a good. This is not a good plan. Doing the wires like this, maybe the opposite direction would have been the way to go. I can't get it to the skip one. Ugh. Okay, fine. Let's do it this way. Just do it this way. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. They'll be right up next to each other. It's going to be a really busy spot in the breadboard. It's fine. It's fine. Whatever. I don't like it. Why is it always thinking? Yeah, it's a little spaghetti. It'll be okay. We'll just leave it the way it is. I can break these out later if I really need to. Never dealt with stink bugs, but the webpage I just read says it smells like a mix of kerosene and vinegar. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know how to describe it. It's not fun though. Oh, and of course, right on ground. Blank. Why do I do this to myself? I'm feeling weird. I don't know what's going on. What's my glucose level doing? What is my glucose level doing? Why do I feel weird? Why do I feel like my stomach is dropping? Or my stomach is empty, it kind of feels like. I'm looking for blood glucose on this one. I don't have it on this scene. I have it on this one. No, glucose level's not dropping. That was new. I'm gonna get a drink of water. Well, seltzer water. Maybe that'll settle out my stomach. Weird. That cough was sort of the precursor to throwing up. I don't think I'm gonna throw up. I don't throw up very easily. There's something I ate. I think drinking water at it is typically the solution, and that'll help me out. All right. That helped. I wonder if something was cursed in that old barbecue that I ate, the pulled pork. There wasn't anything too bad on there, unless the onions had gone bad. No, I think it was all fine. And I microwaved it, so it definitely like killed bacteria and stuff. Oh, that's the frozen camera. Why is that there? Where is the... Okay, BG, frame blood glucose. Okay, there we go. There, now I can get back to work. Back to work, back to work, back to work. Okay, what now? Now we hook it up to stuff. So 12 volts goes to 12 volt line. Ground just goes to all of our other grounds. Scope probe, we've got 2 scope probes. Technically, there's a sync line on this. I gave it a sync line so that the scope could stop at the beginning of a LIN bus frame. I'm going to start using their terminology as I've memorized it, and it helps me to be a little bit more clear about what I'm talking about. For the people that care about clarity, which probably is not a lot of people in chat, but I would assume some of you are there that care about LIN bus, since, is it in the title? I don't think it's in the title. Willow is going psycho about another thing outside that she has to bark at because she's a corgi. You ain't so tough, little dog. Oh my God, this is a weird one because she's going like roof, 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 roof instead of her normal boo, woo, 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 woo. She's got her own language. She's got different barks for different scenarios. Yeah, lots of wires, and so I feel the need to get lots of organized with this thing, which is why we're dropping as many wires as we can down to the breadboard, and I'm coming in with the flying leads that go to alligator clips, but they're away from what they're away from the rest of the system, which helps me keep from going insane, as well as just, this is driving me nuts, being able to just hook up wherever I want. So one of these goes to a sync line, and then the other one goes to the actual LIN bus. And so we're going to go out on 12 volts to the LIN bus. So that's the red wire. And then we got to hook ground up to there. Wires, wires, wires. And then ground goes to here. Not my best work. Maybe we'll move one away from the LIN bus, and that way I'll be able to just reach straight over with ground. Now, if I wanted to cause a disaster, I would hook 12 volts to my 5 volt line, and that would blow everything up. So there's a reason that I want to be pretty neat and organized with all this stuff. Because this stuff isn't expensive, but it's not cheap. Okay, so that's LIN bus. Ground to ground is going to be like, I think gray. Yeah, gray wire for that. There may have been 2 corgis upstairs at one point. Our neighbor is a lovely person, and she suggested the corgi breeder, which is just north of us here in Pennsylvania. The breeder that sold us Willow. Willow is a long-haired, fluffy corgi. She's what's called a fluffy, which apparently the corgi purists don't really like. But like, you look me in the eye. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, I messed it up. I had it on my phone, but no, it's going. No, hold on, I gotta find it. Flip, 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 back to when we had snow on the ground, and I got a decent picture of Willow. Okay, bye. Ah, I lost it. I don't know how to use phones. I don't know when that happened, but I just decided to not keep up and get an Android. It was that day that I learned that I don't know really how to use phones in any good capacity. There you go. How could you not like this? She is so cute. Corgi Playdate? Yeah. So the neighbors have a fluffy corgi that's a male. He's a big boy. And he'll come over periodically and the two will get to play. That neighbor is moving away. She's moving away. So we're gonna have to figure out the play dates going forward. Exactly. Like I have a parent who uses an iPhone and they get really frustrated with the iPhone, and I'm like, I use Android and I don't even know how to use that. Like, there's things I can do. I can do all these swippity swipity. No, man, my phone is like 10 years old. It does phone things and I can take pictures with it. But like beyond that, they're cramming AI into phones. I don't need that. What the hell even is that? All right, 12 volts, ground, crocodile. Snoopy, Snoopy. Oh. I don't want to yell really loudly, so I'm not gonna just blurt out Schnoppy. It's so you guys will be able to tell. The days when I'm here on my own, I am so much louder. I will do the full theater voice on those days. I don't appreciate clankers on my phone with the hard R. Yeah, I don't either. I do not want AI on my phone. Something that is so periodically and demonstrably wrong about the confident answers that it gives is not welcome on my phone. I would rather touch grass. I do not need it. I'm not being a fuddy-duddy on that. I'm not being, oh, you're going to get left behind, old man. And no, the times I've tried to use AI sincerely, it has done nothing but cause me to do more work than just doing the thing in the first place. And I have history with that. That was my entire academic career, was learning, hey man, this is a cool secret about like learning in schools and stuff. Did you know that you can get all the answers on the test, and all you have to do is memorize them. They have no way to look in your brain to see if you've memorized it. You can have a whole answer key in this thing, in this bundle of pudding that essentially has electricity in it. You can just have the answers, and they'll never know. You can ace that test. And you know what? It's a lot easier than the stuff that I was doing to cheat. I learned comprehensively how to do matrix algebra on my calculator. It's crazy how much programming I actually learned that way. But yeah, just do the work. You got to learn how you learn, and then you got to learn the way you learn, and just do the work. That's what I learned. No, it's a cool technique, man. You put it in your brain. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but that's how I got decent grades finally at school. Was I put all the information into my brain, and then that gave me the answers. It gave me the answers for free. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. All right, so we got a pretty organized setup. What pin was our little sync pin? 6. Wait. What pin was it? Oh, okay, yeah, that's the one I remember. This one. So we run our red wire, pin 8, pin 7, pin 6. So here. Parallax. If you're using something like a scope like I am to look straight down at these, you can sometimes run into a problem where it looks like the pin is the next pin down the line because there's a little bit of distance between the two. You gotta watch out for parallax on breadboard setups. We've been bit by that one many times. All right, so now that I've got my whole thingy-wingy plugged in, it needs to have a serial connection in order to run its sort of scan of all the addresses. And then that way we can actually check to see whether or not everybody works. Oh, Black Betty, Baramalarma. Yeah. So scope. Where's my frame chat, frame burn the subs, frame blood glucose? I know you in here. Oh, it is active. It's just not. So doot. Bought a doot. Where's scope? Where's scope? Snuppy. Oh, go to that. Go to this. Turn it back on. All right. Okay, one sec. I gotta just do. My sources can get a little weird when things freeze and stuff. So if I go to studio mode, I can actually open up the framed scope. Where is it? Oh, I guess this is only, oh man, I've violated my, okay, go to there. Oh, I used the button. When I use the button, it disables it there. Oh, I see. Okay, all right. Yeah, sorry, showing you how the sausage is made. The infinite void. You point the camera at the cameras. Ah! Hey, what's up, dummy? How you doing? It's been a minute. Okay, so now we have the scope on screen, so I don't have to have as many. I used to have the scope in the background of what I was filming, so you guys could see the wibbling lines, because there was no way on a Rigol to get the scope onto a camera. I had tried video capture devices and stuff. There's an Ethernet plug in the back of the old Rigol that I had, and we got that to work, and it was like 1 minute per frame. Like, it was bad. So the new one, I spent way too much money on, actually hooks up with the Ethernet cable, and since it's basically just an Android tablet with an add-on buttons and a really accurate A to D, D to A, no, A to D, a little bit of D to A. But anyway, the really accurate stuff is, it's an Android tablet. We can basically get into it as a web page. And that's how we get 60 frames per second scopage on this, which is really good when we're doing stuff like what we're doing right now, which is digital signal reverse engineering. We can look for that periodic signal that just suddenly goes, blah, blah. And we're like, what was that? What was that? Did you see that? And so then we can cater a trigger on the scope to stop when that waveform comes in. And so I've done that in the past. And so my previous code has an extra pin, and that pin is the second channel. You can see the little T arrow right next to it. It's triggered very easily. You can make all your Karen jokes here, your whatever stupid one jokes. Anyway, I'm an attack helicopter. This thing right here will stop the scope whenever there's a little tiny pulse on it. And so when we send our data out, we can see it on the LIN bus and it won't like fly by. You guys have triggered hype train. Oh my God. So I'm going to plug this in. It's not going to do anything. It will get 5 volts. We can see the power lights on over here. We don't have 12 volts over here. I mean, you know what? I might actually just hook this up to TX for our initial test. Now we should have the whole system going. This should be a whole system test. So I'm going to turn on 12 volts on the power supply. Are we typing random emotes again? It is super adorable. He lets his daughter throw random emotes into the chat. So turn this on, and we're drawing 20 milliamps. That shouldn't be. What are we blowing up? This is where thermals come in handy. Thermals, what am I blowing up? Now, it looks like the processor, the RP2040 is getting a little warm. And the LIN bus chip is, of course, because it's being hammered by 12 volts. So people come in and they ask, like, is that thermals? Why would you have that? Nothing is random. It is always calculated. Okay, that is legit. That is legit, and that is hardcore. So the scope isn't showing anything crazy. We're holding up at, that is not 46 volts. Why is that? Oh, because we're looking at the blue channel. I don't know. Why don't they have the numbers on the other side too? Anyway, the blue channel we can calm down a little bit here. Oh, that's horizontal. Wait a minute. Oh, there's tons of noise for some reason. I don't know where all the noise is coming from. I can try to mitigate the noise by plugging in closer to our ground hookup. That gets us a slightly nearer ground, but I guess it's going through a lot of cable. So that starts us off, but our program isn't doing anything yet. If I go into Arduino and I find whatever COM port has just appeared, COM3, and I'm going to do this in the background, but you guys will see a whole bunch of signals are going to come in on this channel. There it goes. So that was, we didn't catch any of the sync line on that. If I reopen serial, does it scan again? No, I need to hit reset on the thing. Oh, that was the wrong one. This one? It's not finding serial opening. Which one is reset? Hold on, let's go. Yeah, okay, so that one's hitting reset. Did I put it in boot mode by accident? COM3, open the serial. Oh, there it went again, and I missed it. I didn't see what was going on the thing. Diagnostic pin is 6. When we're done writing, we run bus check. Bus check, call address, and then this does, no, that's the parity calculation. Call address, and then the byte is ADDI. So am I even running call address? Because we rewrote some of the code. So I think what I need to do is just take this little diagnostic guy and put it at the end of whatever we're doing. Oh no, we're doing call address. That's bus check. This is bus check. Okay. We may need to rewrite some of this stuff because I don't know if we're calling things properly. We're going to try this code and we're going to try to make this code work. And we're going to try to get a response from the steering wheel in just a second here. But I just need to check my setup to make sure my TXs and my RXs are hooked up properly. You guys probably can't hear it. I'm on a lapel mic, but in the background, there's a lot of barking going on. It is not warm out today. It's like in the 50s, 40s, 40 to 50s Fahrenheit, not Celsius. That would be excruciating. It's kind of chilly out, so you guys can't hear it at all. Do you hear the fan? That's another thing if it's in like a quiet environment. I have a fan on me constantly when I'm streaming because I've got a lot of lights and stuff, and I tend to sweat very easily. Good. Not hearing it. I think the thing that a lot of streamers get caught up on, because I'm using the same mixer that like Tomato and some other people use, and if you listen, not at all from tasting. Oh, thank you very much. Good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Honest answers are hard to come by in streaming, and people like to say, yeah, you sound like bricks falling out of a window. But no, I'm using the same mixers like a lot of these professional streamers, and what they do is they'll hook up the headphone monitoring to that mixer, and what they're getting is an extremely high bitrate representation of the audio in headphones. And so they will hear absolutely everything going on in the room. Like if a bug lands on a turd next door, they'll hear, I listen to the Twitch feed, right? You can record it directly from OBS too, and OBS will give you a slightly lesser bit rate, which is kind of how I tuned everything. But then I made sure to listen to an actual clip of my own voice. I need to do that again because I think I've sounded like I've had a pillow up against my face recently. I need to do like some tweaking on the audio frequencies to be a little bit more clear. But again, I use a lapel mic and I don't have headphones in, so I don't, if I listen to the high bitrate thing, I hear my floor fan go merp, merp, merp in the background. So, and I see these streamers with their nice setups, and they will hear all of those tiny noises and think, there's no way that I can get away with running an air conditioner while I stream. And so they then suffer in silence in their own setups. I hate to see it. These are on 1X. There's a 1X, 10X switch on these probes that'll sometimes be flipped. I finally bought a Rode boom arm for my mic, and it's so nice to not have a massive Rode mic in front of me when I'm playing games. Yeah, the arms are nice. The cheaper ones can end up becoming loud when you move them, which is fine for most anybody's setup. This is a blue microphone arm. This was meant for that shameful brick of aluminum called the blue microphone. Don't buy it. That thing is a toy. For the same money, you can get a much better microphone. The Shure SMB7 is the go-to for everybody because it does the kind of audio filtering that I applied to the lapel. So you sound warm and, you know, you've got that Shure SMB7 sound. My boom microphone is a AT4040, which is the expensive version of the AT2020, which picks up everything. It picks up everything, absolutely everything. The whole purpose of the microphone, it picks up everything evenly, and then I can filter out what I want to and make it sound the way that I want. But yeah, having like a boom arm for the microphone is really nice. That's how this stream started, and I had two boom arms that I was like wrestling with. So the lapel mic helps me with that, and I don't wear headphones, and I don't get the gamer dent in my head. But we had to redo the springs on this arm in order to get it to work properly. It still makes like spring screaming noises because I didn't shrink wrap the springs. That's how they get the blue arm to be quiet. The blue arm also doesn't have the pinch points, so it doesn't like pinch me when I'm moving this thing in weird ways. But I wouldn't suggest you go out and buy the blue arm either, because when you buy it, it's weighted for a much heavier microphone. So when I put the webcam on it, it just immediately went erect, which is, I know the effect I have on people, but I also make spring noises. It's called being old. Okay, you've got a point. You have a point. You have a point. You do have a point. You have a point. So this pin is supposedly going high, and it's supposedly pin 6, because we in our program, We come down here to loop and we run bus check. Bus check runs call address. Call address goes down, down, diggity down. And then it writes the diagnostic pin at the end of the address calling. What is U-bit? The micros of a bit, 50. That should be enough that we can pick up on it on my scope. I swear if I'm the youngest viewer. Steady viewer. So far, or this week, maybe. I know I tend to skew older, but you're definitely not the youngest. We have people asking questions in here all the time too. Oh, that actually did work perfectly. So I'm going to set this to single trigger mode so that you guys can see it operating. And oh, I have to alter something. The last two addresses that I was avoiding on this one, 3C and 3F, are off limits. So if Addy is equal to 3C, address is equal to 0, and print I'm finished. No, 3B, because we don't want to call 3C. 3B is the last one we can go to. They marked off two more addresses. So the 3C, D, E, and F, the last hexadecimal sequences of that, those four are reserved for, the first two are for diagnostic, and the last two are for like whatever the manufacturer wants to use them for. So we don't call 3C, she's weird. Yeah, we don't want to go down that road. Our parity bits have changed as well in the new LinBus 2.0. I'm going to keep this the way it is for right now, but there's some kind of like a carryover thing that we need to do with it. When I sit in the leg extension machine, headphones on max in the gym, I hear nothing but the sweet guitars in my ear. Oh, I hear nothing but the sweet guitars in my ear. And the people look at me weird. I remove my headphones and hear my knees crackle like it's candy. Oh, God. How do Foley people do that? They have like a water balloon that's filled with something that makes crackling noises. Or they just crush like potato chips or something. But man, those... I have somewhat crackling knees. I don't have massively crackling knees, but yeah. The leg extension machine is the example that I keep bringing up for the brake pedal. The brake pedal on the new setup, if you haven't seen it, Demi, we're moving all of my simulator stuff to its own thing because my brother gave me a BMW cart seat. He bought a BMW that was cheap, which is the most expensive car you can own, and then he spent a lot of money fixing it up. And so he was in the junkyard and he passes by this luxury car and he goes, And so he takes the luxury car interior and he had his sport interior left over. It's an F30 generation BMW 5 Series, which is great because I'm driving a 5 Series right now. It's a 2000s. His is 2014 or 15. And so he's like, hey, I don't know what to do with these car seats. And I'm like, you have to give me one because I'm your little brother and I've never really asked for anything except for Halo 2 on the Xbox. He goes, all right, fine. So he takes this over during Thanksgiving and drops it off. Yeah, it does. It looks absolutely brand new. I'm pretty stoked about that. The leather is a little bit tough. It's not a soft chair. I wanted to make a luxury car simulator. I wanted it to be like a nice place to be, which I think it will be if I can get all the positioning correct. And I bought an adjustable $20 adjustable motorized. If you want to get like motors that do stuff, buying a like steering column from a luxury car is actually a cheap way to do it. It's like $27 for this whole thing. With shipping, I think it was a little bit more because it's a giant block of aluminum. But that's adjustable electronically. That's adjustable electronically. I'm going to be able to give chat the ability to do all kinds of nefarious stuff with me. The LED rails under the chassis. I got LEDs, man. You're looking at a bunch of WS2812s right there. We could definitely do that. I could get the LEDs under it. The only thing I'm struggling with is that the whole thing might need to be a little taller, so it's easier to get in and out of. Because right now, I don't know. Speaking of creaking knees, I mean, I've got to like sit on the floor in order to get into this thing. Maybe as I lose weight, it'll get easier. Oh my God. All right, so for those of you that haven't been around as long as Demi, like a real race car, I'm not building a race car simulator. I'm building a luxury car simulator. Get your facts. Shit. Shit. Peace. I'm building a luxury car simulator, so it's got to be comfortable above all else. That's my whole goal. The reason that I bought this steering wheel is because of these paddles. This steering wheel has been around as long as the steering wheel project. I got this before I even knew what motor I would be strapping it to. This is from some form of Mercedes. I want to say an S-Class, and I want to say it's like a 2010, but I'm not totally sure, and who cares? The point of this thing, what they brought to the table with the LIN bus is that now only 3 wires need to be connected to this thing. Well, 3 wires and the airbag wires, but we don't have an airbag because I am not going to fucking set off an airbag in my face. I will not do that. I have some dignity, and I will manage to preserve that by not setting off an airbag in my goddamn face. So I've got 3 wires coming out of this circuit board. 3 wires, and when we looked at the circuit board, there was one of those LIN bus chips sitting right there. So all we have to do is hook LIN bus up to this. So here we have a blue wire, a black wire, and a yellow wire. Knowing me, I know exactly what these wires are doing. But yeah, what happens is these are on a grid. They're on kind of a crazy grid. So if I wanted to do my own, oh my God, my dog keeps barking. She keeps barking and it's so distracting. I wish she would just shut up for a minute. Take a nap. Jeez. Okay, it's possible that everyone has left the house and that it's just me and her. And so the dog's sitting at the front door just barking at stuff. And since I'm sitting down here, just literally like, I'm just yelling at monitors, right? I'm just yelling at my computer. So she probably thinks, well, Dad's yelling at a computer. I'm going to yell at my own screen, which is the front door. Yeah, no airbags, no airbags. Oh yeah, those people that like hot glue stuff to their airbag, do they not know what happens in an accident? Things open up. You've literally made a claymore. Okay, so here's the deal. Now, I can't quite get to the horn. At some point, we'll get a good 3D scan of this thing, and we'll make an airbag cover. So I can put like a screen on it. I can put a logo on it. I don't know about the through width, the bit rate going through this, but it would be kind of neat if I had like a screen on this. But yeah, this is like a nice wheel. And I spent a little bit of money on this, and I think it was worth it because it's got the pedal controls if I don't want to use the shifter, and then I've got up, down, left, right. This is why I bought the wheel that I bought. I would have gotten a BMW wheel otherwise. So I can control stuff like in game with this, assuming I set it up right. All of this stuff is communicated every single time I'm talking. There is a dog barking. No, I'm not going to yell at my dog. I don't need to yell at my dog, but I do holler for her to shut up every now and then, but she's just at it. All right, I got to yell at the dog. One sec. Oh my God, she will not shut up. I don't know what her problem is. Maybe the mailman's out there or something. She's just going nuts. And anyway, all right, so I bought this because of the up, down, right, and left, right? So control things in game. All of this is communicated with LIN bus and it only uses 1 wire. So let's hook it up and let's see what we can get done with it. With the system that I want, basically I'll be able to hook any of these buttons up to any number of functions. So while I'm driving, I don't know, chat, if they decide to like turn my wheel to the left, maybe I can like turn them off by hitting the mute button. They're like, stop it. And I have to hit something in order to undo what you guys do. This is not a very long lead, so I probably need longer leads to hook this up. Oh, and I've got them. Jeez, these are long. What the hell is she barking at? My God. The squirrels are back too, and those are her #1 enemy. Actually, if I have it come out the back of the wheel, I can probably get to it a little bit more easily. What was the address for the wheel? We'll look that up in just a second. I need to open some old code of mine, and then we'll know what address it is. And then supposedly if we do everything correctly, which is a gamble in and of itself, we should get a response back from the wheel. Because this program is only moderately modified from how we originally hacked the wheel. This is a confidence boosting stream because of how I got my butt kicked last time by this system. All right, long leads, 3 distinct colors. Then I find 2 reds of the same length, of course. Oh, I clicked something. All right, we'll get there. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. I no longer have barking in my brain, so I should be able to concentrate a little bit better. You know, it feels mean, but the dog is barking all afternoon. I don't like being mean to my dog. Or in general. I don't know how people are mean in real life. It takes a lot out of you. I am not finding the appropriate... There's another one. Okay, we're getting there. I got one more to find. That's not going to work. I'm running out of real estate on this desk. I'm losing my battle with the desk. You know, when I need a short jumper, I find nothing but short jumpers. When I need a long jumper, I find nothing but long jumper. Why does this happen? Why are you like this? I think it might be time to organize the jumpers, which is that's not a great task. It's not a fun task, but it needs to be done. Otherwise, I spend too much time rifling through to try to find an appropriate. No matter how big a desk I get, there's never enough room. I've been on the front lines of that one too, because I got these like 72-inch desk, right? It's huge. But then I decided to have a corner that's inaccessible. But then that corner filled up with all my stream stuff, all my equipment. That needs a reorganization too, desperately. All this desk space, and look at where I am. I am crammed over here, infringing on my mouse's Castle Doctrine area. Crammed all the way over here because of the microscope. And yeah, it's crazy. I get a big desk, they say. You'll have all the room to work, they said. Liars, a lot of them. Okay, so white will be ground. These are JST headers. JST is like your first foyer into good connectors because they're keyed. They have a little bit of like a click-in thing to kind of retain them. But they're 0.1 inch spaced, so they're compatible with your breadboard and your perforated prototyping boards. So they're really good to kind of like move a project into. These are all plugging in the same spot, but they're 3 different lengths. Great. Just what my blood pressure needed today. Okay, so ground to ground. Double check all that. And then Willow starts barking again. She already got scolded. I don't know what her problem is. I'll bet you it's those poodles. Those boys are a bad influence on my baby girl. Those poodles that oh yeah, I just heard a dog bark. That wasn't Willow. So I hooked it up with LinBus. We're all hooked up. We're drawing 30 milliamps at 12 volts. So we have a device that's hooked up. Now, the difference between this and the headlight switch, you know, if I really wanted to make this like an F1 car, I could put that here. I would have all of the little, ooh, look at me. It makes a dinging noise, and I do this. Ding, 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 ha, 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 ha. It's like a big baby. That would actually be pretty funny if I put the headlight switch in the middle of this thing. Anyway, because you see those little selectors on F1 cars. What the hell are those things doing? This is for headlights, though. This is going to go next to it. When we hooked this thing up, it didn't draw any current. So I'm wondering if we either hooked this thing up wrong or something else is wrong. This wouldn't be a 5-volt device, would it? In which case we put 12 volts. I think it's 12 volts. What does this say? We just have part numbers. Because this is all car stuff, it's not like its own product. I can't look it up that way. Like playing a game of Bop It on the steering wheel. I think of those like baby toys where there's like all the little bells and stuff that they can hit. Well, we're drawing current. Nothing's getting too hot. We can't see any electronics in there. But now what we can do is I can hit it with these addresses, and we need to program the microcontroller first so that it stays out of the diagnostic addresses. So we're going to keep it out of the diagnostic addresses. And I'm going to look up my old code. Now, the full code for the steering wheel project, the master, the thing that's initiating all of the addresses, is a crazy piece of software. It is a comprehensively enormous piece of software that's designed to emulate many different things. It hooks up to the other controller, to the force feedback controller, and makes itself look like it is the Bluetooth low energy modem that will then connect to a virtual Bluetooth device. It mimics that. So we don't need to look at all of that. That's a lot of code to look at. So that was CAN bus stuff. It's going to be on the file server. The last stream we had, it took me a while to actually figure out how to get into all of my stuff because sounds like hacker stuff. Yeah, we had to. So the Granite Devices was the original company that made the force feedback controller, and Granite Devices has a wireless device that you can put in the wheel, not this wheel, but just a wheel in general, and it'll do all of the buttons and switches and selectors and stuff. But it's fairly limited in what it can do because Granite Devices moved on to making their own closed system instead of DIY. I guess they figured there was more money in the rich people that just buy the whole system working the way it is. So they went over to that model and they said, bye-bye DIY, have fun with all our stuff. And so nothing is like maintained. And they said they would put in, oh, what's that? So it can't access that. Then what? Network, maybe? That's going to come up with a thing. Oh, no, that's how we do it. God damn it. That's not the right way. Ah, there we go. I have to do it through recents. So anyway, Granite Devices, the controller that I have, we had to, I wanted to make the wireless wheel thing work because that's a whole bunch of extra buttons that you can access and manipulate digitally. The only problem is the only way they have to manipulate it digitally is by having the wireless wheel device and having the TX modem or the Bluetooth modem hooked up. So we actually bought the Bluetooth modem and the wireless device. I have that, but I don't want it because I don't want to have to recharge my wheel. So we listened in on all of the signals that were going around, and it's all according to the Bluetooth low energy spec. We had to then emulate it with an Arduino, with a microcontroller. We had to emulate it, and it works perfectly, but that was a lot. That was a lot to go through. Oh wait, this is my local stream project. Maybe I just need to go all the way to the directory myself. Because like stream, Mercwheel, Arduino, old. So we have to look at the master program because that'll have the wheel address in it. Yeah, isn't that weird? You have to recharge your little wheel to do the sim racing. That's a perfectly reasonable thing though, because I mean, how else do you get to the wheel when it's on a direct drive servo and it can rotate 180 degrees? You can have one of those little phone cables that you plug in. That's one way to do it. But then your wheel's just a big tangle when you try to spin it around. So what we decided to do was to have a slip ring, and that would take the signal all the way in. I could have done my own microcontroller that then communicated or hit buttons on that wireless wheel. But again, like, I don't know, how deep do you want to get into it? This is really weird, so it was fun. Here we go. 9C is when we should run into the wheel. Those parity bits are so confusing. And the start and the stop bit, I guess we just kind of ignore. All right, well, let's see if we can communicate with the wheel and get something to come back. What happens when something comes back? Do we just move on or do we wait? I should probably make it wait between calls. And then we stop it here. It says I'm finished and then it stops. That's calculating the parity for the old version. 6 and 7. Bytes 6 and 7. Listen, kids. Kids giggling about 6, 7. They're sequential numbers. We're going to run into them a lot. Do not do the 6, 7. That's so... Look, you just could have chosen other numbers. In that particular location of Philadelphia that the rapper is from, and I learned this through the Philly Wiki, 6-7 is the code for, I believe, homicide of the particular flavor that they were bragging about. And the next line of the rap is about hopping on the local highway, getting on the on-ramp and going to the next on-ramp down so that they would get away with the murder. The kids don't even know that. They don't know that part of that. But anyway, it's the police code. But that's not the joke. The joke is just knowing the number. 69 at least isn't sequential. 8, 9. that's another way to do it. Anyway, it's just bytes 6 and 7 are the parity bits, and that's how the receiving microcontroller knows that the code that it got is the proper code. It does a little bit of math, a little bit of bit math based on locations in it. There's so many different versions of that of the origin story. Yeah, I had heard the rapper one was the definitive one. And then there was a picture on the Philly subreddit where those guys keep up with all of their own personal drama, where they had a picture of them, their TV with the joke on, and they're like, "This is so surreal." Maybe with the internet there really is no way to know. What is this dog constantly barking at? I don't know. If there's there must be a parade outside. All that I'll accept is that there's a parade. Oh my God. Okay. Send the break is its own thing. Bit send 55. Delay the microsecond bit. Send the address. Pump the diagnostic pedal. We don't do anything to receive. Bit start. That's it, calculating the timing. So I'm not running get bits. I think that's what I would have to run after it. So it might just... God. Now she ran across the floor right above me barking. I don't know what this dog is doing today. Print beats. So UN8T beats. That would be for print bits. That's if we get something back. Here in Sweden, during a rapper's concert, there was an inspection. What? Safety inspector said the broken English, Swedish, this is the safety hazards, code 6-7, and the rapper went with that and made it into a song. The entire audience chanted 6-7 after that. Every kid did it. Huh, I had never heard that one. Did they say it to be funny or was it actually code 67? This is, okay, so this is a lot we're going through here. The way that this communication system works is it uses... Okay, so yeah, there's definitely multiple corgis here. I just heard a bark that was not my corgi. It was the other corgi. Do I have MS Paint open? How did I close MS Paint? Okay, hold on. We're gonna open up MS Paint and I'm gonna explain how this works and what we're looking for here. So we have our voltage and then we have 0 volts, right? And that's on a time scale. The frame, let's make it larger, much larger. And then, so I'm talking about a frame. I'm talking about the following. What happens is initially the line is sitting at our voltage, and in our case it's like around 12 volts. At the start of the frame, the voltage level drops down and it stays low for a certain amount of time. And this is to tell everybody to wake up. Then there's a little bit of time here where everybody's kind of given a little bit of deference. I mean, it would be like a sync bit. An initial sync bit. But then we have 1, 0, 1, 0. And so that goes on for a little while, right? Till it ends. So that is a 0x55. And that's to basically the timing sync. What that does is that gets everybody on the same baud rate. So everybody's looking for 1s and 0s at the same baud rate because this syncs it up. And maybe I shouldn't do that as sloppy as I did because that kind of sells it as something else. But it's literally just 5-5. There's a little bit of a pause here, just parity. And then we have the address. So that's the address of the device that you're communicating with. And that is to 0xFF address. And there's just a little bit of time for the called address. After which the other address, so the other thing, is the response. So in fact, two things are sharing this line. The thing that's calling for the data does this entire song and dance in order to get the thing that it's communicating with to reply to it with information. Sometimes it can keep going. The main one can keep going in order to give data to that other thing. But in this case, at least with the wheel, we get an entire set of data that represents all of the button statuses. Every single button on it is given a binary bit. And if it's a 1 or a 0, that means whether or not it's been pressed. So we basically have one device speak to the other, and then this device that's not what cats look like. Listens, and then the first device, the one with the stripe down its head, My cats are getting a little weird. Listens to the other device. And it's all within that one little communication thing. Right? Dr. Plugger. It's just right with the cats there. For 61 months. Hey, Dr. Plugger, thank you so much for subbing. So basically on this one wire, both of these are pulling down. They pull down to ground using their own, you know, transistors or whatever. One of them calls and says, hey, I need you to give me the status of all of your buttons. And then this thing immediately responds. It has this long to get its shit together and figure out what it's going to reply with. Unless it's already put together a packet on like some analog position statuses. The microcontroller in the grand scheme of things has to listen to all this BS, and then it's got this tiny little window to get its packet together and respond almost immediately to that thing. So sometimes, I mean, sometimes there are conflicts and stuff, and there's whole systems of conflict resolution that these protocols have. We didn't worry about any of this when we were doing the wheel. All we want is to do that initial call and get some kind of a response. Like immediately. We don't do all the error checking and stuff like this. Lives are not on the line. If it gets the button wrong once, it's not going to blow up everything. Maybe in some games it will, but that's basically what all this stuff is doing. It's trying to resolve all these timings using base level Arduino parlance instead of using high level microcontroller timing stuff. So the question is, moving it over to the RP2040, a much more powerful microcontroller, it's possible that that may have doomed some of the systems in it, and that we need to work around that kind of stuff. That's sort of what I'm getting at with this whole baby steps thing. Already having sort of the big program that runs everything is kind of detrimental to my getting this up and running again, because we have different things that are at stake. We have different things going on. Now, supposedly WaveShare, or whoever's library I'm using the WaveShare stuff with, has put all of these timing things into their core, whatever Arduino uses to load up that core, all these settings here that I've got. Hopefully that resolves all the timing so that when I call something like millis or U-bit, those kinds of things, hopefully those are timed up properly, but I don't know. So anyway, I want to program this thing. So I'm going to hold down the boot button, press the reset button, lift the boot button, wait, and then go. I think I think I just hit upload now, right? I think so. Whew, that was a lot of talking, chat. I think we got there, but that was a lot of talking. Hopefully this is all digestible to everybody out there. I've been working with Linbus stuff for a long time, and it did feel like I had to relearn it all over the past couple days when I had time to relearn it. And I think I did an okay job. Okay, cool, that programmed. So now when I open the serial port, it's gonna hit all the addresses and then just say it's finished, and we have no idea what happened. I don't think we're quite getting up to the addresses that we should get to. Maybe that's where our problem is. Because this thing went through all of them and nothing happened. Yeah, I am saying quite a few fancy words. What is all this nonsense that he's saying? I think something's wrong with the way that I'm addressing these things, because we should be getting up to 9C and I'm only going up to 3B, but that was supposedly the serial console is my love life. Jingle the keys, yeah. The Schnappy video, Demi will know this. Vinesauce Joel had a video about this 100,000 years ago, and I only just stumbled on it, and I was crying laughing at how wonderful and stupid that was. I was saying earlier in the stream, which is why this is a bit today, that's why this is a reoccurring bit today, is because I need this for my car. I have a Robin that has antagonized my car and is hopping around on the roof and just pooping all over it. and then it'll go flap against the mirror. It's like an activity center for birds, but instead it's my car. And I need that robin to be scared away. But there's billions of years of evolution telling that robin, you know, kill mode, kill mode, kill mode. And it just wants to attack and shit on my car. That's all it does. That's all it does. So I need some kind of a very sensitive motion sensor, and then I need the schnoppy skeleton to flip out at it. So, okay, with the LIN bus, did I have, I don't think I had LIN spec open. I have it open on my other computer. LIN bus supplier ID. What is this? Oh, here we go. Yeah, so this is this document is the LIN bus consortium thing, right? This will tell you exactly everything about the LIN bus. It does not give you it in digestible language. If you're an engineer, you're hardcore, you can definitely read this. If you're not an engineer, you can read it. It's very confusing. It's very confusing. It is very specific about the language that it uses. It's almost written in legalese, not quite, but reading a different article about how it works can get you to the right understanding level. So, yeah, 1.3 and 2.0. Byte array signals are supported. Signal groups are deleted, replaced by byte arrays. Automatic bitrate detection is incorporated. Enhanced checksum, sporadic frames, network management timing, status management is simplified. Mandatory node configuration commands are added. Together, some optimal commands. Diagnostics. A LIN product identification for each slave node is standardized, so we could actually do that. The API is made mandatory for microcontroller-based nodes programmed in C. Oh, what, really? Wait, what is that? Does that mean I need to use the API specifically? The API is changed to reflect the changes in byte array, go, sleep, wake up, and status reading. Diagnostic API is added. So what they have in C, maybe we could convert over to Arduino. Okay, so this is very confusing. The addresses I'm looking for, the available ones. They actually have a list of addresses, and we could maybe just go through that list. Sleep is another one of the ones that I wanted to look at. If we give it a up to 5 millisecond low, if I set that pin low for 5 milliseconds, the devices that are connected on the LIN bus are supposed to actually respond. So we're supposed to get data back from that. Oh, I wish my dog would stop barking at the door. I don't know what the fuck has gotten into her. It's going crazy. Yeah, so here are some calculations of the checksums. Where do they go up to? They go up to 3F. So how come we had... Okay, so the one that we had in here, 9C. Oh, but 9C is what is coming out of the... That's all of this put together. That's 9C, because it's, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait, that's 10. Well, it's 8. It's 8 in the data portion without the two edges. She and heat, they tend to be crazy around that time. Super heat at the moment. It's not fun. She was spayed, so I don't know if she does that anymore. Maybe she's just making up for that right now by being super duper crazy. I think she's just hearing me yelling and responding. But there's probably a lot of activity outside because it was warm yesterday and all of the snowbirds are coming back into the neighborhood. So you get 9C over here. Here we go. 1C is supposedly the address of the wheel. So I don't think we have any way to detect it because it would have responded right here. Let's just hit it with 1C and see what it does. And what I'll do is I'll put the scope on capture, on single capture. So if I hit, well, actually before that we should program it. So let's have it just hit 1C. Well, actually I could have it hit 1C over and over again. I don't have to have it while 1. So let's go ahead and get rid of I'm finished while 1. So come all the way down here. Of course, the thing is we also need to have it delay between sends. So I'm going to have it delay a little bit longer between sends. So we'll go back up to loop. We have it at 20. I'm gonna do like 30. I think 30 is the theoretical maximum for keeping a device awake. So we hit 30, and then down here, we're going to lock it in at 1C. Where the hell? I need to reorganize this program because I'm lost most of the time in it. We are doing the business of... oh, are we in... I'm in the main program. Okay, hold on. That was the wrong one. Do not save that. Delay 30 or 50. No, we'll do 30, 30. Delay 30. And then call address. If bits start, we're going to get rid of this. Times 2, else shift out parity. Addy up. If we addy up, we're going to do nothing now. That's pointless. If address is equal to 0. So, well, I can just get rid of that because all I'm going to do is or no, it should still be the same address. So it's, oh no, it's this is the original one. So 0x1c. Was that, I got to double check. I forgot. Yeah, 0x1c, which is actually 9c, but we're making that parity again. So we got to make sure that we're making the right thing. And our 1c comes out as 9c. We're looking at the scope. We're looking at the scope first. So let's see if that does it. It's confusing because my program is doing it one way and the others are doing it the other. It's like if you don't have to calculate that parity, you can just put them in as the regular, 9C, 1E, 5F. But the actual address in hex, in accordance to how LinBus does it, is a different hex value because the bits are different, because the parity is not part of the address. It's a stupid way of doing things, but it's how they're doing it, and I guess it works for them. I guess it works for them. But it means we have more stuff that we have to load into our dumb brains. So anyway, we are loading up 1C into the address, and then we're calculating the parity. And I really just should see if addy is equal to the right thing. But then we come up and we do a bunch of BS. We don't actually do any of that. If addy is equal to 0, it equals 1. Then we make it 1C. And then it comes down, and then it makes it the next value. But then we just overwrite it again. So it's just going to keep overwriting it over and over again. This is evil programming is what this is. All right, so I hit program, and then I hit reset, and then I let go. And then I can hit upload, hopefully, if I did it right. we're just hammering on the door and we're seeing what happens. Yeah. Just hammer on the door, see what happens. What I did. Java IO exception, port name com3. Oh, okay. Whoa. Close this. And then let's try boot mode again. So hold down boot, hold on reset, release boot. Release reset. I think I did that in the right order. Double check. I did not do that in the right order. So I think it's boot, reset, hold down boot, let go of boot. And then I can hit upload. The serial port stuff gets kind of confused with the RP2040 bootloader. One F. Okay, so now nothing happens until I open the serial port. So let me do this, and we'll open the serial port. And now it's just going 1C, 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 and we are not responding. Okay. Let me turn off power, turn it back on. Okay, so something that we're doing is causing this thing to not respond. So there's our 5. Hold on one sec. I gotta cough a bunch. All right, so let us print out. Oh, geez. I want to know down here what the address is. Where are we printing the address? Print readout? Not quite. So this is what I wanted to check, and we've confirmed that something in this program is not properly hitting the bits, and that's what's keeping things from responding appropriately. So this confirms my suspicions that we weren't getting any replies on this thing while brute forcing it because we were doing something wrong. From what I'm seeing of the frame here that's on the scope, that looks correct, except we're not getting a reply. So I need to see what the last 2 bits of that field are and see if they line up with what we should be seeing from, yeah, this is older code. I don't think I scraped this from the newer code, so there could still be something wrong with it. This is supposedly the address of the wheel. So 0 and 1 are the parity bits, and that does not look like what we have over there. It looks like we've got 5, 5, a little bit of wait time, and then 0, 0, and then 1, 1, 1. But what we should get is what's here. 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0. That doesn't look like that. It looks like everything is wrong in that too. Do I have the order correct? Do I need to like reverse it? So I'm gonna actually print out what address is in hex. I'll just do that every loop. Yeah, maybe I should do that, but that's for the main checksum. We're still in the brute forcer? Okay, good. Return with the thingy, forget bits. Oh boy, where are we? There's a whole bunch of functions that I wrote that were for receiving what was coming back in, but we're not there yet. async delay send addy. Diagnostic high and low at the end of that sequence. So if I print this here, it doesn't know, that won't get it. We're somewhere around dot, 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 and then it addies up. But, oh, I see, that shifted it out. So actually what I want to do is print before the shift. Then it'll be, and I'll move the dot, dot, dot up. And then we'll print the address up here. Try that. All right, so boot, reset, let go, upload. So now it's going to be original and then without the parity. Whew. BRB, phone ringing again. No worries. Oh, gotta close this. Do I need to reboot it again? Why shifting instead of and masking the value? Because I'm dumb. It's just the way that I ended up doing it. The way that I understood. And mask would work too. Multiple dogs barking outside now. I don't know, everybody decided to walk their dog. I guess it's like 4 o'clock in the Northeast. I get no peace. No peace. Okay, we've uploaded, and now if I open up the serial port, okay, it does say 9C. Well, what the heck then? So we are, in fact, 9C'ing 1C'ing. Which means we're calculating the parity correctly. 1C over here, 9C over here. 1C, 9C. But in my program, at least in the other program, this is being perfectly responded to. We get all of the return data on that. So what am I not doing in my program that the main program's doing? Main program timing is something that we need to see here. These were the tuning values. This is what I had to tune in order to get all this stuff to communicate properly with one another. And they're all in here too. 50, 11, 12, 14, 6, and 3. You son of a bitch. Different microcontroller though. I do be lurking sometimes. You've been talking this whole time. What are you talking about? Yeah. So assuming that this is the same program, I probably pulled one from the other in order to make sure that I had the latest in all of my timing stuff. All this stuff should be properly handled. Does this one have the Bluetooth stuff in it? They're different processors though. This is again what I was afraid of. The RPR and RF. I have a feeling those acronyms mean something totally different to me, huh? Having to go do the RF testing is like, yeah, that's cool. This is an old, wait, this is old. Ah, this is the wrong directory. Where's the newer one? Schnifter? Oh boy, where are my files? Rapid plasma regen and rheumatoid factor. Yeah, that's totally, those are different for me. Although RPR, I don't think that's a thing in electricity. I don't think that's a thing in EE. RF, of course, radio frequency. Are you really taking this long to open up Arduino? I need to clean out my Arduino stuff. Maybe we do need to make the move to Platform IO. It takes way too long to start up. Arduino timer. I remember having a program with a bunch of tabs. That was my main. Yeah, this is doing all the check event. Hey, it's me. Time expired. Battery. RSSI. This is moving into the. This is when we did all that Bluetooth stuff, and this is crazy. This stuff is crazy. But which one? This was it. This is it. This is what it took to make the steering wheel work. This is crazy. This is why moving it all over to the CAN bus, and by extension, this would be its own little thing. This would be its own little microcontroller that would be listening to some stuff, listening to LIN, and making CAN packets out of the LIN. But having everything speak CAN bus, look at how many how many tabs this function, this program has. This is a lot. This thing does a lot. Setup loop, RX engine, TX engine, functions, LIN stuff. Okay. Diagnostic pin, Arduino timer.h we're using. Oh, that's so I can have 5 different timers, right? We're not going to have to do that. We're not going to have to do that with this program. Holy crap. Event stack, MPC 2307. Wheel address 9C, so we're still the same thing. Here we go. So I'm going to close this. Do not save. We're going to take these settings. 50, 25, 12, 14, 6, and 3. Packet delay is also another one on this one. That's 5. Time between the LIN bus asks. So I don't have that on this. That's a delay somewhere else. So that should be the setting. So that's a slight tweak. It's a very slight tweak. But we're going to give it that tweak, and we're going to see what happens. Are we still connected? Yeah, we're still serially connected. So I'm going to close that. I'm going to hit reset, or sorry, boot, reset, let go of boot. Yeah. Oh, she's still barking at the door. She's still barking at the door. My dog, she will not stop barking today. I wish she would take a nap. Bark back at her. I did earlier. I'm not gonna yell again. I need to put sensors in the garage that see whether or not the cars are there. So I know when people have gone on errands, so I can run up and pat my dog and say, hey, what are you doing? We're still not speaking. We're still not on speaking terms. Assuming I have my TX and RX connected properly. The fact that I'm seeing this on LIN bus means that my TX and RX are properly connected. I'm not going to beat my dog up. She's too cute. I'll roll her on her back and she'll get really angry at me. So this is supposedly 9C with all of the correct timing things in there. Our micro bump, how long is that? That's probably down here. That's the brake send. diagnostic, wait 1 U-bit. U-bit is 50 microseconds. So measuring that, this is where an oscilloscope really kind of pays off, huh? Measure. And we're going to measure... source. Actually, I just need cursors. We don't need that. We'll just bring some cursors into this. So in we go to the rise. And then to the fall. $15 sec. Oh, no, that's AXAY, BXBY, and then change in X 65, which, you know, visually, I'm not very zoomed in on this, so there's 50 microseconds, and that's what we set U-bit to. So our timing is good. We've got a good timing. Eat her. Maybe. So 50 microseconds is apparently 50 microseconds. We've got the proper number of U's. And yet, we're not getting a reply on the LIN bus. So something we're doing is not correct. I'm going to have to compare the two programs and see how they're doing things. Because my system works. But my initial call is what's not working. So call address, wheel address, function call address, send the break, delay, U-bit times 2, send 55. That's what we've got to kind of look at. So over here, bus check, call the address, call address, send the break, it's the same program. Bit send ADDI, delay microsecond. And here I may delay a little bit more to set these things, but it's not by an incredible amount. And the other device should have been responding by now. I got this thing hooked up correctly? Hold on, double check my wires. The fact that it's only drawing 30 milliamps kind of tells me that I did. That's going to that, it's going to that. Ground's going to ground. What are you doing? Let's see. Ground is not connected to the LIN bus device. Let's see what happens. Bonk. Ha! That's what it was. My ground wire was misplaced. When in doubt, blame your tools. That's what a good craftsman always does. So what we have here is not a failure to communicate. That is the representation of all the ones and zeros on the steering wheel. So if I hit this button here, you can see that one frame early on goes to a 1, or it goes to a 0 instead of a 1. FF is nothing, but zero is what we're looking for. So as I hit buttons on this thing, it is responding. So we're calling out specifically the wheel. We're calculating all the parity bits and stuff like that, and we are getting a response. That's how things should be going on the LIN bus. When I tried my signal checker, it was not able to find any data coming back out. We did some timing corrections, which may explain why this does work based on what we got working with this wheel earlier. So like here, where's the horn? There's the horn. Cool. All right, so that's our jumping off point for next stream then. We almost made it to 4:30. I'm not gonna draw this out, and there's a little bit of work to do tomorrow that we'll do on camera, obviously. But this took a little while, and this is why. Is the yellow slowly moving to the left? No, it's sometimes the response time can change a little bit. And if the response time changes, you can see where that arrow, where the T arrow is, the trigger arrow. the trigger arrow is triggering when we're done with that bit, and then the what do you call it? The recipient of the address response. That's what's going on there. So that wait time is between the two devices. One which has only that amount of time, 50 microseconds, to get everything together and send a packet back. But yeah, so the call and response is now working. We're able to get data from one device to the other. Now, at the very end of the packet, that's the checksum. So that's going to change when any of the bits change, right? The checksum is just so that the recipient, the master device, the one calling, knows that the packet that it gets back is actually what was meant to be sent. So there's two things that change. Early in the packet, you can see the change for these values. I don't know what some of that other stuff is. That other stuff might be, it might pertain to features that Mercedes wishes to bake into their wheel later. And then, all things considered, there may be a packet that I can send the wheel that would turn on the backlight, because there's currently orange backlights, but nothing on here is backlit. So maybe we'll have to make it, we'll have to scheme out how to get that done. The problem with that is that if there's anything else with the backlighting packet that gets sent to the wheel, then that needs to have its own checksum. And so it needs to have the right data in it. I can't just throw a number at it and expect it to like work. Even though it's supposed to be a simple and standardized scheme, I don't have any way to know what that backlight packet is going to be. Maybe one day I'll be able to find something. Hey, Copper, I'm just closing up here. So let me do my end card. So we got our one-way communication going, which means that we can build all that timing into something that's going to catch when there's actually data coming back and pause the brute forcer to say, hey, I got data. And we can have it ignore the steering wheel. Yeah, I know. Timing is what it is, man. I cannot control time. The being made of time. So today are April 2. Oh, the internet is finally safe again, right? Although there's still fallout from all of the stupid April Fool's jokes. It'd be like that. It was a fun stream. I'm glad you guys had fun. I'm glad we made a little bit of progress in doing things that, oh, I shouldn't have done that in that chat. Why do I keep doing that? You know why it is? I actually figured this out yesterday. You know why it is? Because when I go into Discord, oh, I was pointing in OBS. When I go into Discord, I'll go to send a message and there's this giant send a message right here. These windows should not be cascaded like this. It's causing me all kinds of trouble. All right, so with the I'm gonna wait for that to go away. That should be done in the background. The only thing I do in that secret admin section is take a screenshot for the YouTube thumbnail and then I update the bot in order to keep you guys from seeing all of this spam. Stupid. So we are where I was in, when was the, oh, I don't know, because I saved over the files. I don't know what the file age is, but it was years ago. That was at least 3 or 4 years ago that we were working on those programs. So here's the end card. My Blue Sky got hacked and maybe one day I'll get it back. That's kind of why it's still up there. Discord has really been my only social media. And it's probably keeping me from having, yeah, fried chicken brain recipe. Should keep secret fried chicken recipes in there. My fried chicken recipe is as public as can be. And I don't really have one because when I do the spices, I just kind of throw things in. So the last time I did fried chicken, I forgot to throw a bunch of spices in the dredges and whatnot. And it tasted like flour. It's just fried flour. It was bad. Anyway, don't be like me. You know, spice your flour. Throw all the spices you can in the fried chicken. It's worth it. Catch you guys in 3 hours, 30. I put the wrong date in there. I put the wrong date. I put today's date in there. I will see you APR 3rd. April the 3rd. We do it again. Sorry, I'm trying to get my brain about me. I got to go do errands and stuff like that, but I'll be back in 13 days. I got it wrong again. I'm never going to get this. I'll talk to you all later. Have a good night, everybody, and I'll catch you on Discord if you're there.